Hey guys, good morning. Welcome to Friday, May 5th, the show before the show. Still getting ready here. Hope everybody's doing well. Lizzie Sparks in studio with us today. Lizzie, how are you doing running 3 chat lines at the same time?
It's good because then I can tell how we can regulate the show when people listen, when people don't, which platform they listen on, and Rumble's really picking up steam.
It is, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is.
I had
sure
a feeling
is.
it would. It's
Yes.
interesting. I mean, it's what everybody's flavor is, that's for sure. We appreciate, hey, we just want people to join us and we appreciate it.
Absolutely. The best chat is still on Facebook, but all the numbers are going way up.
Angie, Mary, Karen, good morning. Mary says, got my notification sound and I'm out walking on this cloudy morning. I come in when it's dark 30, as you guys know, try to work out. I thought it's supposed to be a pretty nice day in the St. Louis area.
I think it is. I think it's supposed to be sunny and not rain. Like
it's looking pretty gloomy out there right now.
It all depends. We got listeners all around the country. We know that. But anyway, as we get ready to get things going, we've got news today. It's a it's a paranormal free for all conspiracy theory Friday, and we'll get into that with dinosaurs and dinosaur bones. It's now developed whether dinosaurs were real with one of my co-hosts to whether you can actually call dinosaur bones into the mud people from mud fossils and giants. I don't know where she's going with that. She'll get into all of that. But we got Pete Makovicky. He's kind of a big deal when it comes. He is the end all when it comes to the Chicago Field Museum, paleontologist. It's funny. I joke about this sometimes, Lizzie, but I made world news with this story. It was the first dinosaur ever discovered in the state of Missouri, and it was a new species. This was like 2.5, 3 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we went worldwide. And then I made worldwide headlines 2 years later.
They're both dinosaurs now anyway, so it's all good.
So we're going to catch up with Pete Makovicky. And I don't know Akiko's last name. She's a field preparer, but she's actually out in the fields doing the digs. And that dig's going on because they found so many more what are, quote, fossils, bones, creatures that were there because there was water one point in time down in like near Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Just fascinating stuff.
It really is fascinating.
But we're going to talk with them, catch up with them at 8:30. Can't wait to talk to them today. And then of course we got Kim Gardner news we'll get into. It's just interesting. I've never believed in piling on people when bad things happen. At any point in my life. And I try not to. I mean, and I know what it's like too, to have people try to pile on you. But I do think we know the full story with Kim Gardner.
I think so too. And it's been going on for so long.
We'll get into that. Yeah. It's just, hope everybody's doing well. Cinco de Mayo. It's not a Mexican holiday. It's an American holiday that we make up. Americans are good at partying. We're good at drinking.
We sure like that.
So anyway, good morning, everybody, as we kind of get things kicking this morning. Lizzie's in studio. So am I. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Drinko. Happy Cinco de Drinko Day. I've heard that before as well. Angie says, have you seen those giant horses back in the day? I don't know. Like Clydesdale-esque? I don't think I have. Anyway, just look for, we have fun on Fridays. If you guys have anything else that's going on, let us know. Robert's already texting me. He's, oh my gosh, I've got from Chat GPT. It's kind of a free for all. He asked it questions. We'll get into some of the information there. Thank you, Robert, for sending that to me. I appreciate it. Anyway, we continue to move forward. I talked to a beer company yesterday. It's interesting. When they do these advertising, it's all done at the national level, by the way. It's nothing regional, nothing with any of these beer companies. Bud Light's in a world of hurt again still. I mean, like massively. I talked with and I'll get into it a little later. I had a conversation with a Miller Lite guy yesterday, and he's like, they're so busy.
Oh, I bet they are.
He was like, for once, we're number one, we're winning, and we're doing what we've always done.
That's great.
It's fascinating when you hear some of the stories. Because I was like, do you want to come on and talk? And he's like, oh no, we're just keeping our heads down and continuing to do what we need to do.
Let it ride.
Let it. They did. You know, it's funny though. Miller did, in my humble opinion, have the best ad campaign of all time. Of all time. And Lizzie, I don't know if you remember, but they had big time celebrities. All these athletes taste great, less filling.
Less filling.
Taste great, less filling. I mean, so they do have it in their makeup, so to speak, to be great. They were great with their advertising at one point in time. But those were the days. Tastes great, less filling. Yeah. Tim says it's beer 30 somewhere, my brother. Good to hear from you. Good morning, Tim. Good morning, Angie. Thankfully, people jumping in on the show today. We're going to have some fun. We get so serious. We do have to get a serious topic because, as we said, it always seems like it's the Friday news dump or something happens late in on Friday, heading into the weekend. As we get into Kim Gardner stuff, if anything else is going on, just let us know. We'll do our best to keep everything else going on with that. Oh, that is interesting. I got Kevin, I appreciate that text. I can say, because he told me, I'll get into it. There's also an influential local attorney who might have had to be deposed, and that would not have been good for one Miss Gardner as well. I don't know if she wanted to deal with that stuff as well. Anyway, we got it's Kentucky Derby weekend as well. We got a Kentucky Derby party I'll tell you about too. You find out the description in our headline. Oh, look at you. And you go to our description. It's at Herbie's in Clayton. Anyway, it's a chance for people to jump in. Hey, Heather, good morning to you. By the way, we've been doing the show before the show, just kind of as we get ready. Thanks, Joe. You rock, Pro Joe. Thank you for getting that in there. It's in the description. You click on the link. It's a terrific party. It really is. And for charity. For a local high school, which is fantastic as well. I was looking through. Eric's girlfriend, Christy, just posted a picture of the new goat that Eric got. For Christy. So
Spectre
I'll
the goat.
send that. That's Spectre the goat.
Oh, yeah, did it run away?
It ran away already?
Are
you serious?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Got it back.
Did he put that in the chat? Did he put that in the chat line?
No, it ended up on some animal
how do we know that it
People on Facebook were like, I found a goat.
Yeah, and it had
that
same picture, and it was on like an animal site. So I don't know if it was a joke or not.
Like a lost goat site.
And you just assumed that was Eric's girlfriend's?
Well,
we know it was because it's the same picture you just posted.
Oh my God.
Now we don't know if the goat was really missing.
When did this happen?
2 days ago.
He didn't tell us this.
No, he didn't tell us.
Doesn't he call that omitting?
Omitting the truth that Spectre was missing? I wouldn't have been able to sleep all
Don't give
night.
me that look. You got a look on your eyes. You got battle eyes.
on your eyes.
I'm waiting for you to call me out for putting lipstick on.
Oh, no, we don't get to see it.
Well, when she gets on camera, everybody, you should
never call out
red,
something for viewers that they can't see. So that's my fault. I'd love to have you on putting it's the Tabitha Hassel makeup. All right,
would be good. That would be fun.
All right, we got to get going. It's Friday. We had a longer show before the show. I feel like I should have a strawberry frozen margarita in front of me now.
Me too.
But you made me not day drink, morning drink on my birthday, Lizzie, and that was a long ass day. But I was still standing at about 11 o'clock that night. All right, Pro Joe, let's get to it. Time to start the show. Hey guys, welcome back in. It is cancelthisshow.com. I'm Vic Faust. You see Lizzie Sparks on the screen. Tabitha Hassel. You ready to rock and roll, Tabitha?
The real show?
Yeah, it's the real show.
Dude,
I thought you were still in the practice, like the fun show.
We so need to make a whole lot more money so we can keep you here full time. Because I feel bad for you working your ass off. You're all over the place.
Well, sometimes you do your little entry, so I didn't want to get in your way.
Tabitha Hassel. In her spicy red today.
I come in, I don't know what's going on.
You look so good in red.
You do.
So pretty.
Well,
so
thank
pretty,
you.
Tab.
Both.
Bro Joe is here. Eric. Well, I don't think he's looking at the goat. We found the goat, so he's good there. So that's a good thing. I'm Vic Faust. Glad you're joining us for cancelthisshow.com. Of course, Monday through Friday live, 8 to 10 a.m. Central and all the time on our site, cancelthisshow.com. You can check out all of our original content. I do see people going back, liking and rewatching and watching some of our content from 2-3 months ago. We try to make it evergreen. A lot of those subjects are evergreen, and they're important. That's what we try to do when we pick out the subjects. But on Fridays, we have more fun. We let it down a little bit. Although we'll do that at 8:30 today. We'll talk dinosaurs. Are they real? Are bones real? What are the fossil situations? What?
Go ahead.
What are mud fossils that created the giants that roamed the earth one day? Am I doing a good job,
You
Tabitha?
are doing a great job. And the goal is if you can prove through the process of fossilization that dinosaurs are real, then we can also prove through the process of fossilization that mud fossils are real.
Okay.
That giants once roamed the earth.
I can't wait. I love it. And that's what our Free for All Fridays are about. We do have some seriousness to get into. Anyway, so we've got Pete Makovicky from the Field Museum of Chicago. They're the end-all, end-all. Pete's considered to be the end-all, end-all from paleontologists in the country. Looking forward to that. It is a free-for-all. By the way, next Friday, doing research, working on a guest. He sent me some information back. He didn't commit yet, but I think we'll get him to flat Earth versus the Earth we know about. And that's what the Free for All Friday.
Wait.
You weren't laughing about that when we had the woman in here who says she channels aliens.
You know what? I judge no one.
That was a judge laugh.
I judge no one. I think that people, if you came and told me right now that you were abducted by aliens last night, and when you woke up this morning, you had this white shirt on, because I've never seen you wear white before. And I would be like, all right, Vic, tell me about it.
Well, and that's the secret story I have coming up that I was just telling Vic about, and has something to do with aliens and a local politician. So that's going to be good.
Stop it. Are you serious?
I am dead serious. Yes, dead serious. It's going to be some good stuff. Tab, as soon as I would mention it to her, she knows what I'm talking about, but she doesn't know who I'm talking about yet.
I don't yet, but I'll tell you what, I know a local politician. It's probably not the same one, who has seen UFOs in Bush Wildlife Area.
Yeah, you brought that up before,
yeah,
too.
I don't think it's the same person.
It's probably not.
Before we show you our partners, I wanted to single them out, too. First of all, we talked about the Kentucky Derby. Big Kentucky Derby party. You go into the description for today's show on any of our platforms. You can click the link. It's Bobby's 19th Kentucky Derby party. It'll be at Herbie's in Clayton. Awesome day, awesome event. The money goes to a good cause for charity. You also get 2 mint juleps and their famous flatbreads. And we're just promoting the heck out of that. We appreciate that. Kentucky Derby tomorrow, Cinco de Mayo today. Also, we specialize and focus on complete auto body repair. Curtis Barks Crew, if you need anything done with your cars, as a show sponsor, we're grateful for them being a part of the show. Alex was there yesterday with his vehicle. Lizzie's daughter's been there. Lots of people. Let them know you heard about them from cancelthisshow.com. Also, special thanks to Renewal by Anderson. They are the end-all, end-all when it comes to any windows. We've had 2 people already that we know of that have gotten, quotes. So people are jumping in. You can't go wrong with Renewal. Check them out. Go to our website, cancelthisshow.com. Their website's there. You can click on, fill out a quick little link, or you can give them a call. Same thing as well. For the Friday, we're ready to start, but we're going to give you a look at our partners first. Here it is.
Waited, and now it's here. The unveiling of the latest Carroll House lifestyle collections. I'm Brooke with my sister Amy, inviting you to see 3 football fields of the latest styles.
Our new lifestyle collections are premium quality furniture made exclusively for us and available only at Carroll House.
The attention to detail is unmatched, and so is the value, nearly half the price of a typical gallery store.
Plus, get free financing, delivery, and in-home design. Carroll House, because you like nice things.
Kathy O. Big Strick, owner of Experienced Real Estate Partners with eXp, has been one of St. Louis, Missouri's highest selling groups for 26 years running. In that time, Kathy and her team have successfully assisted an incredible 4,000 families. So if you're thinking about buying, building, or selling, be sure to put Kathy's group and their experience to work for you, and you can expect to be moved. Just give her a call at 314-276-SOLD. That's 314-276-7655. 888-878-5353 or find her online at experience-re.com. Winty's in the Chesterfield Valley, if you don't know, is a family-owned business that has been around since 1994, serving some of the best chicken wings in town, no joke. Also known for their fresh burgers, pizza, and incredible smoked meat. Top-notch happy hour specials are included, plus live music every Friday and Saturday. Oh yeah, you can also enjoy their spacious heated covered patio. It's Winty's in the Chesterfield Valley, 18,000 Chesterfield Airport Road.
As all of you may know, the home of the Cancel This studio is located at the all-inclusive private jet hangar, Strategic Air Services. Founded in Chesterfield, Missouri, they take pride in offering a meticulous approach to private aviation through services that fully manage your trip from takeoff to landing. Strategic Air Services is more than just storage for your aircraft. They offer state-of-the-art amenities to its members and guests. When you are not traveling, you have the luxury of enjoying their world-class gym, conference rooms, lounges, and so much more. Strategic Air Services offers an unparalleled luxury experience for all things private aviation. If you're looking for a new place to call home for your aircraft, give them a call today at 636-400-7601. Again, that's 636-400-7601, or visit their website at strategicairservices.net.
Hey guys, welcome in. It's cancelthisshow.com. We appreciate everybody jumping in on this free-for-all paranormal, anything goes, conspiracy theory Friday coming up at 8:30 in about 20 minutes. We are going to have the dinosaur discussion. Why dinosaurs are real or not, why bones exist or not, mud fossils. Tabitha, it says it's very important to talk about. We're going to get into mud fossils and how they have a connection to giants. I can't wait for all of that. But, and later in the show, we'll talk about the Bud Light situation, which isn't so great. Real quick before we get in, I wanted to show you the goat. Joe, did you have the goat picture that I sent you by chance? There's the goat. There's Spectre.
Sweet Spectre.
Spectre making friends.
Love it.
In the heartland of America. That dog, I wish I could see the dog's face.
So sweet.
The goat Spectre was lost, but Spectre has been found. And Christy.
Oh, Christy's on. Hi, Christy.
Yeah, we saw that as well.
Your baby.
Hey guys, we appreciate you jumping in, liking, subscribing, sharing the shows. Of course, passing on any stars that you may, if you know of any other advertisers, sponsors, donations, things of that nature. We appreciate it when you jump in. Okay, big news, national story. And it was bigger because obviously we broadcast out of the St. Louis, Missouri area, Strategic Air Services in the Chesterfield Valley, but it became a national story because I don't remember a situation like this. And please let me know if it has happened somewhere else. The Attorney General, of course, went after the circuit attorney, Kim Gardner, for a lack of doing her job. And there was tons of evidence, and it was building. It was mounting. Circuit attorneys' assistants leaving. One attorney was assigned over 500 cases. We all know about the sweet girl from Tennessee just walking to a hotel on the streets in St. Louis, lost her legs in a crash because a car hit her. Guy should have been in prison, shouldn't have been driving. You know the stories with Kim Gardner. Then an audit was coming of her office. On top of that, a well-known influential attorney who may come on this show from time to time was set to be deposed. All of these things adding up against Kim Gardner. Unfortunately, one thing we didn't see from Kim Gardner this entire time was any remorse. When you screw up, apologize. If something's not going well, admit it. Just go with it. If it's not working, go. So Kim was the worst by far circuit attorney the city of St. Louis has ever, maybe in the country. I'm not kidding. When you look at what has happened of murderers literally going free, assistant attorneys not even showing up for court for murder cases. Then we find out she was taking nursing classes. And then she was going to have to get into all of that. She was going to have to give information. You can't do that when you're a circuit attorney. So instead of facing the music, there are literally people who said, she will never quit. Never, including people that joined this show. You're wrong. She quit.
I didn't think she'd ever quit. I figured they would have to fire her and drag her out by her hair before she would ever leave that office. I really did. I never thought she would quit.
I didn't either until recently, but one of my kids works for the AG, and she said that Andrew Bailey was going to put on the heat so bad that she'd have no option but to quit.
And and here's the thing: you never. I'll say it again. I don't think you should ever pile on because it's human nature. Let's go pile on somebody,
right?
No, but this is about safety. I'm telling you, lives will be saved. Lives will be saved. Now it's up to Governor Parson. He gets to choose her replacement. She leaves June 1, if not before then. And for that standpoint, Kim's getting out, and hopefully this ends the worst time. And it's really unfortunate because the citizens of St. Louis who actually went out and voted were all excited about voting. The first Black female circuit attorney. Yeah, that sounds really nice, but if you can't do the job, yeah, that's a problem. And it looks really bad upon the citizens of St. Louis who voted her in twice, knowing how bad of a job she was doing.
Now, Vic, since today is Friday and we're talking about fossils, do we have the photo of her in her nurse's uniform?
No, I don't. I didn't want to do that.
Oh, I think we
I sure don't know why.
I don't.
Great.
I know you don't want to be mean.
I don't like to pile on people.
Not when they're responsible for the deaths of so many
people.
This
is the one time I think you can pile on because, I mean, people lost their legs. They lost their lives.
Get it. No, they did.
She did mean things to a different politician.
I don't feel sorry for her one single bit. And I never thought she would leave that office until I heard she was taking those nursing classes. And I'm like, okay.
Can you pull up? Do you have it on your text line?
She's coming up with a second plan. She knows what's in store for her. She wouldn't be taking those classes. I don't like to be mean to people. And Vic, like you said, I don't like to pile on people either.
No,
but if there's anyone that deserves it, it's someone like Kim Gardner, who unfortunately is really, it's her fault because she's not prosecuting violent criminals. She leaves the violent criminals out on the streets to murder again. So,
there's that situation. We heard 2 nights ago. The first time that I heard that she was quitting, I repeat, quitting. She's quitting the job. So she quit on St. Louis.
She sure did.
Because she quit. Okay. She quit. Oh my God.
She didn't get fired.
Oh my
Say
God.
hello to Nurse Kim, everybody.
Cute in that little nursing outfit.
She sure does.
My God. Okay.
That's what you're going to be waking up to, folks.
Are you not entertained? There you go, Tabitha. You win.
Could you imagine her walking into your hospital room? You're down there at Big Barnes, and all of a sudden she walks in.
I would be scared.
I would be scared too.
I would be really scared.
My son said nobody would know who she is because her face is never around. And unless you're into the political world, you wouldn't recognize her. But I'm like, I think you would. I would too.
Okay, here's the thing. I witnessed this firsthand a few years ago. I stood down, and I've told you guys before, as a person, Kim Gardner was a nice person. I've told you guys this. I got to know her. That has nothing to do with the job. Okay. I got along with Kim very well. One thing though, we were down doing a press conference with Kim in the St. Louis, Missouri area. And I think this is unprecedented. It became a national story all over the place. I mean, Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, OAN, Newsmax, people are covering the story because you're talking about an AG, a white Republican AG in a red state going after a elected African-American woman in the city of St. Louis, hardcore Democrat, for not doing her job. And she quit.
That was great.
I mean,
wonderful.
So what does that tell you? What was actually going on? The evidence mounting. You don't quit, especially when you have the kind of vocal support. I won't say the majority of support, but the vocal support of the community leaders. Because when I was covering a situation a few years ago, us reporters and anchors were just standing there and we were chanted at and yelled at by her supporters. Be fair to Kim. Be as if we were, I'm like, we're just here covering a story and you lie about Kim.
Be fair to Kim.
Well, guess what?
Right?
Guess
I'm
what?
Sure Janae's parents
if Kim was doing everything right, if these Soros-funded prosecutors and all these liberal blue cities were doing everything right, do you really think that you'd have people like Kim quit?
No.
And it sets a precedent. I mean, maybe Missouri's makeup is different than many other states, because it is a red state. Let's be real. It's a red state. There's not one Democrat in an elected office in the state of Missouri right now. But they went after her on merit and she quit. It didn't even go to court.
I mean, how could she deny it? She knew that she was getting to a point where she could no longer deny it. But, I do have one positive thing to say about old Kimmy. Is she is very honest with her beliefs.
That is true.
She doesn't hide.
I respect that.
She doesn't try. When Vic messaged me the other day and asked for the interview, and I don't know where it is, but she interviewed with us. And I flat out asked her, did you take money from George Soros? And she was very honest saying, yes, I did.
About 2.5 years ago.
And I said, do you have to follow the narrative of George Soros and his liberal policies because you took his money? She said, yes, I do. I mean, she was very, very honest
and
about
compared
it.
Republicans to taking money at the time from the Koch
And
brothers.
she did. And I will give her credit for that. She is very honest because you know why? Because she stands behind her beliefs, what she does and the way she practices law and the way she handles the job of circuit attorney is exactly how she thinks it should be done. It's not like she's sitting around not prosecuting cases when she thinks she should. She thinks she's doing the right thing.
And now we move forward. It's one thing to bring it. Okay, that writes the chapter on Kim. She's done. We could complain all day long. If you truly care about the city of St. Louis, the residents being educated on who to actually vote for and not somebody like this again, and letting the loud minority voices sway people, you got to care. The people who actually live there, not the people who live in St. Charles County or St. Louis County, the people who actually live there. And so moving forward, there is a massive, massive problem. Whoever Governor Parsons appoints, and by the way, I did speak with him. He couldn't join us this morning. He was unavailable this morning. So was Andrew Bailey today, but we'll have both of them next week. So Parson for sure by Monday or Tuesday. And then Andrew Bailey, the Attorney General for the state of Missouri, who is a total rock star right now, rock star status. I mean, he's been in office less than 4 months and he goes and wins. And when I say win, it's not a quote, well, I'm better than you. Wins for the city of St. Louis because jobs aren't being done. People are dying. People are losing limbs. People aren't going to jail. What a job. Andrew Bailey, congratulations to you. And he gave us one of his first interviews here on canceltheshow.com once he was appointed to the position. So another outstanding pick by Mike Parson. Mike Parson also put Eric Schmidt, appointed him, and look what Eric Schmidt went on to. He appointed Andrew Bailey to replace Eric Schmidt, and look at the track record. That is a tree for all the complaints that Mike Parson can get. What a job by Mike Parson and putting people in place.
I love Governor Parson, despite a lot of conservatives aren't his fans, but I love Governor Parson. But Vic, what a tough decision this is going to be to put somebody in that place, because you can't put a Republican in the circuit attorney.
Who wants that job?
You can't put a conservative in that
and
spot.
It won't be. And
it's going to have to be someone similar to Kim Gardner, but somebody who actually does their job, because if you don't, the people are going to freak out in St. Louis City.
Absolutely.
Well, here's the other thing.
It's a tough decision.
Number one, you have to have a staff. I don't care. Like we said, Tom Brady, best quarterback of all time, maybe the best NFL football player of all time. You don't do anything with people around you. You have to have people around you. They don't have a staff. So now once you appoint somebody, then somehow, some way, you've got to get a staff.
And fast.
Really fast.
And one unfortunate detriment to Kim Gardner, people left her office not because they didn't like the job. Most people who left, from what I've been told, because they didn't like the leadership.
Correct. And their workload was so heavy.
So they got to find people. I don't know how they get this done. Kim did complain about not having enough money to pay quality people. That is also a legitimate concern. So there's a lot. Just because Kim's gone doesn't mean that things automatically get better.
Oh, it's going to get worse before it gets better, because think of the bigger picture here, and that we have all of these people sitting in a jail cell right now who constitutionally are allowed to have a speedy trial, right? A speedy and fair trial. So how are they going to have a speedy trial when we don't even have anyone in the office?
Oh,
we have no one prosecuting cases. So that means those people are going to have to be released.
Here's the problem.
They can't keep them in jail.
Unless
you were there on January.
But you have had defendants or suspects, people who've been charged, sitting in jail waiting for long periods of time.
And they can sue the city over that.
And then you have defense attorneys putting the pressure on. And we've got some marvelous defense attorneys in the St. Louis area who are representing clients.
Clients who sat in jail for a very long time during COVID. Some of those folks who could have been innocent sitting in jail.
I also was just given some information. Don't be sleeping on a white man possibly being appointed to take over. A very high quality person in the city of St. Louis. Call this person a dark horse, but don't think for a second that a white man will not be appointed.
It could happen. I mean, it could be anyone who wants the job. That's the other key is who wants to take on that responsibility.
And it's sad that we have to talk about color. But regardless, you know.
Do you think they'll go back through Kim Gardner's cases, the cases out of the circuit attorney's office, and that people who are criminal defense attorneys are going to say, hey, my client didn't receive a fair trial because her office was a disaster?
Why wouldn't you?
I mean, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you should.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
What a mess it's going to be.
It could be
it's going to be a
disaster if all of that stuff happens. But we're trying to do our best. So the whole situation. Oh, Brad Young.
And Brad is out of town. Otherwise, he'd probably be here with us.
Yeah, and Brad's the one who gave me the heads up 2 days ago that he heard that she was quitting. That basically the evidence was overwhelming that she had neglected her duties as prosecuting attorney, not just recently, but for a long period of time. And it finally got way too much for anybody to overcome. And that's why you have the situation now where she's, well, it's not going to work for people. And Kim's leaving. So it became a national story. We'll continue to.
They'll have to bring someone in. Don't you think they'll have to bring someone in from out of state?
I don't know. I have
and will
no
she
idea.
have to move?
I don't know.
Will she have to relocate? Because I can't see her ever being able to work at a local hospital. She will have to move to another state where no one knows her. I can't see any of these local hospitals hiring her.
Let's hope so. I would feel St. Louis would be safer without her, to be honest.
Absolutely, pro Joe.
So right, Joe.
Yeah, I know. I just hate it for the city of St. Louis. At last check, I believe they had 30 prosecuting attorneys, maybe left, maybe 30 or under. To give you an idea, St. Louis County and Wesley Bell has over 70.
Oh, wow.
That shows you what the hell is going on and how bad that whole thing is. And by the way, this hasn't just happened quickly. I guarantee Parson has a short list. This has been months in the making, and that's where we fly in and fly out with St. Louis City. So, you know,
Tim Lomar's looking for a job.
We'll see where it goes.
That would be.
He would do a fantastic job. As
Somebody have Tim Lomar's phone number?
I actually do have it. Yeah, I do.
Let's give him a call right now.
Actually,
First of all, you have to live in the city, and Tim is in private practice. He just purchased some property in Lake St. Louis for his private practice.
Good for him.
Yeah, good for him because he is a very good prosecutor.
So no,
he can take one for the team.
He's done for public office.
Man, he would do a good job. Streets of St. Louis.
Kevin Joseph says, Vic, St. Louis City has 18 prosecutors right now. And then Anthony says they're down to 19 regular lawyers and 1 for violent felonies. And the one who is doing violent felonies has a caseload of near 500.
I can't even imagine.
500 hardcore felony cases, violent felony cases.
I don't even know how to respond to that.
Yeah, it leaves you speechless.
Exactly. That's the issue.
Oof.
There is no way to respond to that.
I mean, did they make that many ankle bracelets last year for the criminals? I mean, how are we keeping track of all of this stuff? Are we? I mean, or is it just kind of?
That's a good point, Eric. Did they keep track?
I don't know.
Do they even know how many cases they have? Because we keep hearing about these cases that they didn't even know about, and so no one shows up in court because they didn't even know. And think about that. While they don't know what cases they have, that case represents a real person who's likely sitting behind bars.
You know what it's like? It's like, because I was arrested one time, but you know what it was for? It's because I had my license plate expired, and then I got a court date. Yeah, I got a court date, and I didn't show up for court. That's what they're looking at all these super violent crimes like, these criminals. It's like, oh, I didn't show up for court. No, they'll just give me a put a warrant on my head. No, these are serious things that are going on. I think Parson is going to come in and put in a very conservative African American is what I would have to say.
That is definitely probably not.
I would have to say
From
that
where?
it's unfortunate.
That would be great.
It's unfortunate.
But-
I don't think that he can. I don't think he can. Maybe he will put in a Caucasian person.
Well,
down
we're going to
there.
talk more about that coming up at 9:30. We've also got Nicole Jenkins. We had her in studio before, super successful African-American businesswoman who left the city of St. Louis because of crime, because not only the city circuit attorney wouldn't do her job, but also the mayor and issues what was going on with the mayor and slumlords. She was a super popular guest. She's scheduled to come in studio this morning at 9:30, but it is a free-for-all Friday, Paranormal Friday, Conspiracy Theory Friday. We have more fun. We educate. We entertain on these days. Of course, this is cancelthisshow.com. Pro Joe's here running the boards. Lizzie Sparks in studio taking care of the chat lines on 3 different platforms. Eric Johnson and Tabitha Hassel. So today's subject, as we've been talking about, dinosaur bones, fossils, mud fossils. We've been talking lots of dinosaurs and we love it. And with that being said, we welcome in Pete Makovicky.
Yeah.
He is the end-all to end-all when it comes to paleontologists from the Chicago Field Museum. Akiko, I don't have your last name, and I'm sorry, Akiko. I know you're super, super field prepared. We'll welcome you guys in, and I just wanted to make sure, are you joining us this morning from the museum in St. Genevieve?
No, we're actually in, I should say good morning to everyone
Hey,
first.
guys.
Hi, everyone. We are in Marble Hill, so we're very close to our site, and
Outside by Fredericktown.
we are being hosted by the Steel company using their Wi-Fi. So,
Oh, okay,
shout out
fantastic.
to Steel.
Nice.
And the St. Genevieve Museum, the Dinosaur Museum, is what the Learning Center in St. Genevieve. We'll talk more about that. A couple years ago, I learned of your name when there was a site found in the state of Missouri. And big story. Was grateful that we could do it in the St. Louis area. We wanted to educate and entertain and learn today because it kind of gets into the standpoint of, can you explain, I guess, right off the bat, bones, fossils, what's real, what's not? Because there are people who say, well, let's talk about fossils and what is an actual bone.
Yeah, so let's start with bones. So
All right.
bones are a mineral and protein compound that are built by vertebrate bodies. The main mineral is hydroxyapatite, so it's a phosphate of calcium. And those are deposited by cells that have originally created a sort of a network or a matrix of proteins.
Yes.
And of course, when an organism dies, you can go out in the woods, you can find a deer skeleton. 99% of the time, it's going to disappear. It's going to weather, it's going to crack, mice are going to eat it, what have you.
Yeah.
A few times, in terms of paleontology, you get lucky. Those bones will actually fall into a position or place where they can get buried and they can become part of the rock record. And over that time, as they're buried, and even before, you start having chemical processes that can affect the bone. So they'll change some of the composition. They might fill in. One of the most common things we see is the bone is porous because it has a lot of blood vessels and little cellular bodies in it. Those will fill up with minerals and things like that. So that's the fossilization process. It's called diagenesis. And so that's essentially, when that has progressed to a fairly advanced state, we get what we'd call a fossil. So there's no hard boundary, but if you find something from the Ice Age, so about 10, 12,000 years ago,
Right.
It's going to be discolored. It's going to be a little heavier than the corresponding bone. For example, if it's a bison bone, the Ice Age one's going to be a little bit heavier because you have some infiltration of minerals from the groundwater. So that's when fossilization begins. And then it can progress, to a quite advanced state where you have a lot of replacement and you have everything in between. It's going to be very dependent on exactly where the bones were buried and what happened to them in the ground.
Is there ever an instance where we can find a T-Rex and it's all bone and not mineral deposit or whatever? Or is it where it's not converted?
Well, so we have to sort of say that the conversion is never complete. If you took a T-Rex bone and ground it up and did chemical analysis on it with a variety of tools like X-ray diffraction, most of what you're going to get is calcium phosphates. You're going to get hydroxyapatite. So the bulk of it is still going to be bone material. If you cut it very thin and look at it under a microscope, you will still see cellular structures. You'll still see blood vessels. You'll still see all the biological features that tell us this is a fossil and not a bone, not a rock. So you still have that. And you're going to have varying degrees of fossilization. So there's been recent work on animals, including T-Rex, showing that you might actually have even some remnants of the proteins. So not just the mineral part of the bone, but also the protein part of the bone preserved in there, in trace amounts, but still there. So often, if you think of a limb bone like a big cylinder or shaft of something, you know, you're going to get the influence from the surrounding geochemical environment coming from the outside moving in, but as you know, there's going to be a gradient so that towards the middle of the bone it's probably less converted than towards the outside.
Wow, that's interesting.
No,
Tabitha?
Peter, we first started talking about dinosaurs on our very first Paranormal Friday. When we talk about all things, we talked on that same day about Bigfoot. We talked about aliens. We talked about all sorts of things. And one of the things that I want to bring up today, because it is our Paranormal Friday, this might sound absolutely crazy to you. So the process of fossilization, obviously, if you're walking through the woods, you're not going to just find a dinosaur body laying in the woods that it died a million years ago and there is its bones. What we're going to find is in rock and sediment, we're going to find something that looks like a dinosaur. I know when you go out to like the Badlands, you're looking for chips, bone chips, and that can lead you to the larger dinosaur bones, etc. And then, of course, we carve those bones out of the rock as carefully as you can, and then reassemble them in some cases as an actual dinosaur. And when you go to a museum, what you're looking at is fossilized bones. You know, we talked about the Field Museum, and at the Field Museum, I haven't been there in many years, but they used to have Sue the T-Rex. Now, Sue is a full, as far as I know, it's a full skeleton of fossilized bones. But I try to explain to these guys, they're not bones, they're fossils. People aren't walking around finding dinosaur bones, they're fossilized bones. And what I wanted to explain to these guys, there's a lot of people who believe that the earth is not what we think it is. You go out and you see rock formations and you see these different things, and they look like, you know what pareidoia is, of course, I'm assuming, where you see faces and everything, you see shapes and everything. And there's a lot of people who think that's what dinosaurs are. But if, like you just explained, you can take these rock formations that look like fossils, you can x-ray them, you can DNA test them, you can see that they had blood vessels, you can see the porous nature of what the rock formation is. But there's a lot of people out there who are finding other formations. And I know this will sound absolutely crazy to you both, but there's a lot of people who, including myself, who believes that at one point, giant humans may have existed.
Oh boy!
And
Wait a
I know
second. You've said like 20 things. Pete's looking at you like, oh my God.
That's okay if Pete's looking at me like I'm crazy. It's Paranormal Friday. This is what we do.
Right.
I mean, that's why we have him here.
Okay.
So I was getting to my point before you interrupted me. And so a lot of people do believe that. And later on in the show, we're going to show some photos and some videos. And a lot of people have, or some scientists have taken these structures that look like large human feet or large human thumbs or fingers or different parts of their body, and they've had them DNA tested. They're porous, just like a dinosaur fossil would be. They've had them DNA tested. They come back as human tissue. They've had them x-rayed. They've done all of these different tests. So I'm curious, if we believe that dinosaurs existed and roamed the earth and they ended up fossilized, why can't we believe that giant humans once roamed the earth and they also were fossilized in some sort of process?
Yeah.
Well, when you say giant humans, what are you specifically referring
Oh boy,
to?
here we go.
And I was hoping we would get to the mud fossils before you guys came on, so you might see it. But by human forms, there are big mountain ranges that look like a person lying down. And I know this all sounds crazy.
It does.
It does. And there's a scientist who has a rock that looks like a huge thumb.
Like a pet
it's
rock.
bigger than I am. But he's had it DNA tested. And I'm talking about biblically, a lot of people believe that giants once roamed the earth.
Yes.
And there's a lot of different photos, and they look like rocks. But then when people go out and test them, they're porous. They have one that looks like a giant heart that shows blood vessels, and it looks exactly like a dinosaur bone. So my point on the show, and Peter, you guys haven't joined us the past few Fridays, is that if you can believe in one, why can't you believe in both?
Well, let's go. Peter, from a layman's perspective, which is me always, have you, in your travels, in your work, have you seen any conferences of the giant human people of Jerusalem or something like that?
There's not going to be any conferences.
Have you ever heard of such a thing? Like you opened up an email and said, "We found something. Get here quickly to the cliffs of Dover or wherever."
And it's okay to laugh and make fun of us because it is Paranormal Friday.
No, because if they said yes, actually, we have heard of that, then we're all going to just freak out. Have you heard anything like that before?
Well, I get a lot of emails from people who find rock formations that superficially do look biological, and
it's paranoia.
Yeah, and they sort of will sometimes even show up and with these rocks, and then you kind of look at them and they're mineralizations. They're often infills. So if you had a burrow or a hollow that filled in with a different mineral, and it can have sort of a organic shape. So that's very common. I'm not aware of any of the particulars of
the giant humans.
The giant humans.
Look them up.
One of the problems
if we can believe a giant T-Rex roamed the earth,
and we can,
why
because
can't
we
we believe giant humans once?
Because there's no giant human skeletons
but
in any museum.
Wait till you see the video I show you later.
Okay.
So one of the problems there is going to be a biological, a physiological issue with bolometry. You can't scale up a human being,
and
maintain the shape that we have at
there you go.
Well, how can you say that and expect a giant dinosaur to roam the earth? We could say, well, look at a dog
because
his
the
bone
limbs
structure couldn't support.
But the limbs are constructed differently.
There you go. The limbs are constructed
there
differently.
has to be structural strength in the skeleton to carry that kind of weight.
So
if you take your femur,
maybe there was.
Let's hear Pete.
No, there wasn't, because if you take your femur and scale it up just linearly and make you 20 feet tall,
here we go.
Your leg bones are going to break under your body weight.
Or 2 feet tall.
If you look at the what they consider to be the giant humans, their leg circumference is actually bigger than this room. It's not like they're tall, standing on little spindly legs. I mean, their bodies very much look and are built like our bodies. They would hold up perfectly fine.
No, that's what I'm saying. They wouldn't. Your skeleton is designed to carry your weight. The bigger you get, and remember, your volume, your mass is going to scale to the cubed power of your linear dimensions.
Yes.
You cannot have the same bone dimensions and just scale them up linearly.
What if there
you
was
would have to have a very different body shape if you're going to have a giant human of that size. So that's one reason to be skeptical.
You're the paleontologist, so you're probably right, even though I don't agree.
Well, how can you not agree? It's like saying,
he's probably
right. It's basic physics.
I'm not a scientist.
So it's basic physics.
Physics. He's talking physics. He's bringing the entire kit and caboodle at you right now, and you still won't believe it.
And I know he's trying to find a scientific explanation, but I still disagree.
Well, Peter, she asked you another question when it came to bones and fossils, which is something we've discussed several times on our show when it comes to these topics. Can you please break it down, as Eric says, for layman terms for me, when it comes to real bones, or are they fossils, and does it matter, and what is the difference?
Yep.
So it's basically a gradational definition between something that's fresh, which is a bone, and something that has had some degree of geochemical alteration in the earth. we would, if you have full replacement, so the bone is completely dissolved away and it leaves just a hollow, that's the far end of the spectrum. That's not really even a fossil. That's just a natural mold of something.
Okay.
And there are plenty of those, but they're not very useful because they don't actually preserve the anatomy, the actual anatomy of the animal. What we're looking at is bones that have had some alteration, and you can feel that. You can actually pick them up. They're going to be heavier than the corresponding fresh bone would have been.
Right.
Mainly through the infilling of all these porous channels. It's not always the case, though. You can pick up a bone of the Missouri dinosaur, and it's actually going to be lighter than the corresponding, because probably, and we're still testing this, some of the alteration was a leaching of the bone. So you have an acid environment, and it's actually dissolving a little bit of the mineral.
That's fascinating. It is fascinating because you get a chance to actually see climate change in what you do. I mean, obviously, we've had mammoths come out of the ice that were pretty well preserved. Have you ever seen a dinosaur? I don't even know what the right terminology is between dinosaur and these, these giant mammoths. But have you ever seen a dinosaur come out that you're like, wow, we got a lot of organic material on this thing still, where you were able to see DNA, where you were able to see all this, the carbon footprinting of this thing? What's the best preserved dinosaur that we've ever seen?
So there is there's a really fantastic, I didn't dig this up, but there's a really fantastic armored dinosaur from Canada called Borealopelta, which is very complete. And you can see the whole pavement of armor. So you have from the skull to about the middle of the back.
Wow.
Would have been complete, but they found it in the tar sands when they were actually grinding through the tar sands to extract the oils. And that one has, stomach contents. It has some of the color pattern on the armor, so you can reconstruct what it would have looked like.
Right.
I don't know if they've tested that one for proteins. I would say I don't think we have verifiably been able to detect DNA in a dinosaur.
So
DNA is a very volatile compound. It breaks down very fast.
Yeah.
In your cells, or in our cells, we have little subcellular mechanisms that maintain our DNA because the bonds are always breaking apart. Obviously, when an organism dies, that stops, and so the DNA starts falling apart into very little pieces that then have to be put together. But you also get DNA from groundwater coming in, so there's a lot of contamination issues.
Right.
Peter,
what we more verifiably think we have are proteins. So, for example, your cartilage is made up of a protein set of protein compounds.
Yeah.
Those are more resistant and probably more likely to fossilize. So we definitely have some evidence of that. We have things that look like cellular structures, and certainly, show sort of the cell and its little branches coming off. But it's also still unclear what is preserved there of the original material. So there's a lot of really exciting science going on in the field of what we call molecular paleontology, where we're sort of looking at how much it could actually be preserved that's not just the mineral component of bone. So I would say until 30 years ago, the thought was the only things that are going to preserve are the mineral components of bone because they're hard, they're minerals.
How do we know that the T-Rex was green and not brown?
We don't.
We don't.
Peter, before
But it's a good question, Tabitha. That's a legitimate question.
It is, but they don't.
Maybe it was red.
There's no tissue.
Maybe it was red.
They have no idea.
So,
Peter,
when it comes to T-Rex, Tabitha's correct. We actually have no idea. We do have a few skin impressions of T-Rex, but they seem to be just that. They seem to be impressions. So the rock that the sediment that buried the animal took on the impression of the skin, and then that was preserved.
There you go.
We do have cases including that Canadian dinosaur I talked about, many of the feathered dinosaurs coming out of China, where you are preserving some of the pigment, particularly melanin pigments, that, for example, color our hair and so on. They're there, and so we can get at least some idea of the shading. It's not the full picture because color in animals is carried by a lot of different compounds, and only the melanins preserve well. But we're getting some idea, but it's piecemeal. You have to have exceptional preservation, and then you can sort of map out.
But you're just guessing because you think it was a reptile kind of a thing, correct?
That's been the general, when you see, Jurassic World, or you see a dinosaur book, people have used a number of different inferences. So it's a reptile. It looks like a crocodile, so you make it look like a crocodile.
What were you going to ask, Tabitha?
That's exactly right.
What I was going to ask, Peter, is that I know that sometimes, let's say if you're on the paleontologist is out, let's say in Montana, they're looking for dinosaur bones, or I should say fossils, because there's no such thing really as a dinosaur bone. So when they're out looking for a fossil,
wait, what?
We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that.
Tabitha, I've spent 25 years of my life doing this, and now you're telling me.
I know. We're going to get to that.
No, that we be quiet.
Whenever you're out, let's say on a hunt for dinosaur fossils, and let's say you come across, I know sometimes you can find, a fossil laying on the ground. So
Not a
let's
bone.
say that tells
Not
you
a bone.
where to go from there. So what is the actual process? Can you explain to us what the process is? Somebody calls you up and they say, hey, we found some bone splinters. We think that there's a T-Rex here, fossilized. What is the process of turning that mound, let's say of sandstone or something else, into the actual bones that we see at a museum?
Oh my God.
I don't understand the question.
You don't have to
No, he does. We need to hear this, and I appreciate Tabitha asking.
Because you see videos of paleontologists out, and they find a formation of
bones,
of fossils, and they say, okay, well, here's the rock. We know this part is the fossil because obviously it's a different compound. It looks different. It's has maybe tissues through it or fissures through it. So how do you do that? Do you chisel away what's attached to it? How do you make it into a perfect formed bone that you would use at a museum?
Well, so when you collect fossils, as you said, you walk around, the Badlands. That's the typical way of doing it. Not in Missouri. Missouri's a little different. But you do look for, you look for a bone trail. You follow it up. You sort of poke around. You see if there's more. And believe me, 9 times out of 10, there's not more. It's just that. Most of the bones that make it into the fossil record are small chips, broken things. So it takes a lot of looking. Once you find a substantial showing of bone, the process is you collect all the surface material, all the chips, record it, and then you have to sort of figure out how much overburden has to go off. So normally you would, it's going into a hill. You have to sort of carve the hill back some way. You do that, and then you sort of work from the top down very carefully, because you obviously don't know exactly which orientation the bones have. And they're going to be brittle. They're going to be a lot more fragile usually than the rock.
Right. You might have a large human chewing on a dinosaur and you don't even know it in the fossil record right behind it. They could be chewing on its neck.
That's the beauty of paleontology. I mean, if you can always be proven wrong by another discovery.
But Peter, why do you think there's a difference between you saying it's a bone and you've done it for 25 years and what Tabitha's making in her case with a fossil? I'm trying to legitimately understand.
Me too.
The disconnect.
Well, because you are looking at these categories of bone and fossil as two distinct and non-overlapping things.
Okay.
But a bone becomes a fossil if you bury it long enough.
Well, yes,
we see that we see that process happening even in human cemeteries where you have
there's no question about it
moving through. The bones will be modified. We know they're human bones because it's a cemetery. But if you have the right groundwater conditions, you get mineral deposits forming in them, and you see the same exact processes that happen in fossils.
It's called science.
It is science, and it's exactly the same thing they're finding in the giant human skeletons.
That they,
quite
have,
honestly.
that they have never found.
Which they have found. I'm going to show you guys some videos and some photos of them.
Peter
later,
just
Eric.
said it's impossible.
Well, Peter's a paleontologist. He believes in dinosaurs.
Well, he's an expert.
And I love that. So Peter, when you look at
I want to correct that. I don't believe in dinosaurs. They are a fact. You can go to a museum and put your hands on them. They are an observation.
Much better now.
For the win from 60 yards out, right through the uprights.
Now, Peter, do you believe in Bigfoot?
Tonight. Thank you, Peter.
Oh, what'd you say, Tabitha?
I asked him if he believed in Bigfoot.
Boy. Get ready to
Because
debate.
I do not believe in Bigfoot.
You do not believe in
No,
Bigfoot.
of course
I don't
not.
either.
That's a silly thing.
No, I agree. And so Peter, are there any actual dinosaur bones in existence that are not fossilized?
There are dinosaur bones that show very little amounts of alteration. So as I said, each fossil is going to be a product of what was the input, which is bone, and then the geochemical processes that affected that for however many thousands or millions of years that it was buried. And sometimes you get bones that are very little altered. And I would say that these include some of the bones we're finding here in Missouri. They're not that altered. They are fossilized to a degree, but not as much as, for example, bones you'd find out west.
There you go.
Now, how is it that we've had, and I'm not discrediting paleontology. I love what you do.
Oh my God.
And these guys always try to say I don't believe in dinosaurs.
I'm not discrediting musicians.
But that's never been the case.
I believe you make music.
What it is I always want to see proof. But here's the thing. How is it that bones differ in Missouri and how you find them and how they're presented versus what you'd find in Montana in the Badlands?
So Missouri doesn't have the same climate as Montana, and so you have a lot more vegetation cover. Everything's a lot harder to see, basically. So if you think of your standard Missouri fossils, which are going to be Paleozoic invertebrates, so shells, snails, things like that, one of the places you find them is road cuts, right, where the Department of Transportation has made a nice, cliff for you to look at them. Now, dinosaurs, of course, lived at a certain time in Earth's history from 230 million years ago to 66 million years ago. Jeez, and you have to have the rocks of the right age, otherwise you're not going to find them. And there's not a huge abundance of these rocks in Missouri. Most of not that they weren't here, but they've just been eroded away. And so you have to be extremely lucky to find one of these sites. And that's what actually happened here in Missouri. The site was found when, a local family was digging a cistern behind their house.
Wow.
So they're digging down through the layers just in order to collect rainwater and happened upon these bones. So that's one big difference. The reason we go out to Montana or Utah or these incredibly dry places is that you don't have a lot of vegetation, you get high rates of erosion, so more bones are being exposed. And so it's basic economics, right? It's if you're going to go and spend a lot of time looking for fossils, you're going to target the areas where you have the highest likelihood of finding them. And
the reason why is because that was a prehistoric beach. Is that correct?
Well, you had the Western Interior Seaway. Right. You do find a lot of things not quite on the beach. Bones tend to get ground up by wave action. But if you go a little more inland from the beach to sort of the delta and the floodplains behind it, that's where you get good preservation. Yeah.
But people go to Montana, and the reason why I think the Badlands began is what I've read is that the Rocky Mountains used to be twice the size they are now, and that used to be a coastal area, and that was where the beach was, which is why they
used to call them hills. The huge. We go to the Rocky Hills.
Peter, what does Akiko do for you, and what can she add to the conversation? She's been sitting there so sweet and nice, and I see her smiling.
Thinking how crazy is this girl in the red sweater?
She's like that girl in the red is crazy.
The chick in the red is a nut job.
I saw her smile after you said
pretty, but a nut job.
Hi, Akiko. Welcome to Cancel This. What exactly?
Hi. Good morning.
Good morning. What can you add to what Peter's been talking about, and what you do?
We've been working together over 20 years now.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, looking for dinosaurs. And my expertise is to excavate the fossils and prepare the fossils for research.
Have you ever found anything like gold or silver out there where you're digging around and saying, damn, we really found something now?
I wish we could fund our research.
Self-funded research. No such luck.
Yeah, no such luck.
I almost feel like we have to apologize for today's conversation because
stop it.
I would assume that
maybe it's good because we got it all out in the air.
I would assume, Eric, that Vic filled Peter in on what we would be talking about.
They knew exactly what we were talking about.
It shouldn't be a big surprise.
Sometimes in life you don't have to be skeptical about things. I think the lesson that we learned today is sometimes the truth is just a damn dinosaur. The dinosaur bones went through their process and they came out the way they are.
And just so you know, Peter, the way that this conversation all began, and since then they have told me I don't believe in dinosaurs. I always say, prove it to me, like
exactly, Peter.
Like aliens, like anything else. But and I know you wouldn't consider dinosaurs in that category.
No.
But I was explaining to them that when you go to a museum and you see the let's say Sue the T-Rex at the Field Museum, or if you go to the Natural Museum of History and Science, they have a disclaimer. They actually have a plaque there. It's all over their website where they say, when you go in, these are not real dinosaur bones. These are fossils. We've rebuilt this fossilized dinosaur. And so many people think that when you find a dinosaur, that you're finding a bone like you would find a dead dog out in the field. I mean, this
is real easy fossils. To put together. He just said 250 million years. So you have time,
Peter.
you have time, water, and elements versus...
I understand how a fossil is built.
Okay.
I'm saying that when you go to the museum, that's not a dinosaur skeleton. They didn't find a skeleton.
But you've never said that you don't believe in dinosaurs.
I've said that, I don't. I've always said I don't.
You don't believe in dinosaurs.
Either way,
probably a couple of different things going on. So sometimes you'll go and see a mounted skeleton and they'll tell you this isn't the actual bones because they're heavy and fragile. So we've made casts.
Sometimes, yes.
Are light and put those together because you can do that with a lot less armature and it's a lot safer, and that way the bones can still be accessed for scientific research. They're not, 20 feet in the air.
But Sue, the T-Rex at the Field Museum is a true fossilized dinosaur.
Yes, it is. It's about 90% by volume of what you see is real bone. There are some bits, for example, one of the feet was reconstructed and one of the arms. So there are bits that had to be filled in from the opposite side.
One of the things that comes up a lot lately, I don't know even why this stuff comes around, but they say that dinosaurs are not the reason solely for the reason why we have oil. Is that I was
fossil
always,
fuel? Dinosaurs
are
not fossil. Dinosaurs didn't die and create oil.
Well, but I was always taught the La Brea tar pits, that was all dinosaurs, that all the oil in the earth, that's all dinosaurs. That's not true, is it?
No, dinosaurs wouldn't have had the biomass necessary to create that much oil.
But look how many millions of people believe that it is true.
So,
where did oil
most
come
of the
from?
world's oil, if I can jump in here, most of the world's oil, what we call the oil window, in the geological record, is actually from the age of dinosaurs. So about 50% of the known oil reserves are from deposits that go back to the age of dinosaurs.
Okay.
But they are predominantly from marine deposits, and it's actually algae and plankton and little microorganisms that are getting buried into the sea bottom and buried deeper and deeper, that then the change in temperature and pressure basically breaks down the organic compounds and rearranges them, and that's when you get all these different hydrocarbons. So gas, like the gas we use for heating and so on, forms at a slightly different depth and temperature than does oil.
Oh wow!
But these are buried, and that's why the places we find a lot of oil and gas. So South Texas. The Gulf in the Middle East and so forth. These are predominantly shallow water, were shallow water marine habitats. So they're shallow. You get a lot of photosynthesis going on. You're piling up a lot of dead plankton and marine microorganisms. at the sea bottom, and then slowly over time they get compressed and cooked, and it's a long process. So one of the reasons that most of our oil is more than 60 million years old is that it takes a long time for this to happen. You don't do it in an instant.
No.
But so you were sort of told, you were told a half truth in the sense that, yes, this is from the age of dinosaurs, and yes, these are fossils, converted fossils. But if there's any dinosaurs in there, they're contributing a very minuscule.
Gotcha.
Hey, Peter Makovicky and Akiko with the Field Museum out of Chicago. I did want to ask one question today before we get out of here, and it was one that a guest asked as well. So here it is. Is carbon dating used to determine the age? And if so, carbon-17 is used. Is that true? And then we know that 25% carbon existed years ago. So would that mess with the age system when we figure out how old something is?
Great question.
That's a good question. It's one I get frequently. So carbon dating, which is actually based on the ratio of carbon-14, there's no carbon-17. Carbon-14 to carbon-12 is a very good, very precise chronometer up to about 100,000 years ago.
Boom.
And then after that, you have the amount of carbon-14 is getting to such low levels that you can't use it to date things beyond that.
Wow.
What we use for older fossils is the uranium to lead chronometer. So uranium, as you know, breaks down. It's a unstable or radioactive element,
right?
And it goes through a series of different changes and finally ends up as lead, which is a very stable amount. And the half-life, so the half-life for carbon-14, and the half-life, meaning if you start with a certain amount of carbon-14, about 5,000 years later, you have half that amount. It's turned into carbon-12. For uranium, that half-life is 4.5 billion years.
Oh, damn.
So you can go back to basically the origins of our solar system with that chronometer. And it works very precisely. It's based on the same principles of radioactivity that we use in nuclear power plants and nuclear bombs. So it's something we understand incredibly well. And the trick is, so the physics of that works very well. The trick is you have to find minerals that will have some amount of uranium in them that can then be dated. You can measure the amount of uranium, then the amount of lead, and figure out when that mineral formed, and that gives you a sense of how old that rock is.
Well, Peter, we appreciate you joining us today, and I guess you'll and Tabitha will agree to disagree on bones and fossils.
No. I am all with Peter. He's the paleontologist. I'm just some dummy here talking on the radio.
That's right.
Or on a podcast, I should say. and I just want to reiterate the reason why this came up, and at some point we're going to pop up the photo, is the Field Museum, and I believe it's a natural history museum.
Why don't you show it right now?
Yeah, let's show it.
No. We're not ready for it.
Joe, can we do that?
That they have a big disclaimer on their website that says,
don't worry about the disclaimer. Just let the paleontologist look at it and go, yeah, that's ridiculous.
Oh, no, we need to pop it up when he's on.
We have to.
Ridiculous.
Joe, go.
Okay, there we go.
They say here, the dinosaur bones that you see on display at the museum aren't really bones at all. Through the process of fossilization, ancient animal bones are turned into rock. And so, Peter, my point is always that what we see at the museum, it's a fossil, not a bone, even though you say it is a large percentage bone and not fossilized mineral.
Well, I mean, the mineral is the same mineral as in bone. That's why bones can fossilize. So our bones are made up of about 90 to 95% mineral. And that usually is not altered at a chemical level. So if you did a chemical analysis, you can recrystallize it. The crystals are very small and it'll recrystallize. You can change, so it's mostly calcium phosphate. The phosphate usually stays. The calcium can be replaced by another divalent ion, cation. So often iron, and that's why many of the bones you'll see are brownish. Sometimes manganese, that gives a blackish hue. So they are, converted, and we also know that they weigh more. So a typical fossil bone will be 3 to 4 times heavier than.
Did that answer your question?
Fresh bone. So in a sense, they have been in the fossilization process. You are altering the original into a modification. Now, as I said, that happens over a spectrum from relatively little, like we see here in Missouri, to very heavily modified bones.
Can we do this? Because while you're here, can we show the giant human skeleton?
Oh no, let's not waste his time with
why? Why you think it's real? Can we show the giant,
Peter,
please?
Peter's like,
because
I will never talk to these people.
If he
again.
weighs in, because no, wait a minute. In your defense, it is out there in the ecosphere of all this stuff. It's in
and
Twitter.
there's like 15 photos. We'll do that later. I don't want to waste.
I think Paul from our chat line makes a great point. He's like, Tabitha's no dummy. She's super smart.
She is.
She's just a skeptic on certain things.
I'm not a skeptic at all when it comes to dinosaurs. What my point was and has always been since day one is that when you go to the museum, what you're looking at is fossils, fossilized bone, but fossils. It's not like you walked into a park and saw a human thigh bone sitting there, because obviously
again, time,
it's not millions of years old.
And water.
I know how fossils.
Can we show the giant human picture, please?
No.
There
we'll
are so many.
Just one. Pick one and let Peter go. Yeah, about that.
Well, Peter already said you've never found anything with large skeletal.
I'm about to show you something,
beings,
Peter.
Correct?
Sorry, I didn't get that, Vic.
Did you already say that you haven't been able to see any or find any large, giant-like skeletons?
I mean, we find giant skeletons of dinosaurs.
Oh yeah, I gotcha.
So prepare to be Prepare to be
Peter, we will not do
exceptionally
that to you.
surprised.
You two are good
rock and roll, babe.
You don't need to
we
deal with all our
introduce you.
drama.
This is Sam, the giant, the giant skeleton.
Pro Joe is on a ship going back and forth. Deciding
Pro Joe, let's rock this thing.
Are we showing video or not? Pictures or not?
It would be like showing your.
Just show
like one.
Just surprise
because
us,
they'll
Pro
never let
Joe.
you go.
It would be
Peter,
like
until they
showing.
show you.
It would be like showing Aerosmith your demo song and
That
hoping
wasn't
they pick it
anything.
up. That's exactly what.
Those aren't. I didn't.
Now
send you
that
those.
is man. You know what that is? That's the guy
listener
from
said
Alton,
that.
Illinois.
Oh, I say I didn't send that.
That's the tall guy from Alton, Illinois. That doesn't even count.
Angie from the UK sent that.
That's Vic Faust and Tabitha standing next to each other. What is that?
Okay, so we're looking at.
paranoia.
Sorry, that looked like a face.
Yeah, that's
This
a
looks like, to me, a granite outcrop. You have typical exfoliation features, which is a weathering phenomenon of granites. Granites form deep in the earth. It obviously looks like a human face.
Yes, it does.
If you go back to the previous picture of the giant from Alton, Illinois, you will see that he has no face. The soft tissues of the face are gone. You see the actual skeletal structure.
And there are photos like that too.
so-
We're not going to go through them all today, but
But,
you know what?
Hey, Peter, we do
Peter
have a
makes
few
hold on.
listeners.
Peter makes a great point because that cat from Alton could barely walk.
true.
He needed
That's
two
true.
I almost said cranes, 2 canes to walk around, orthopedic shoes. So how in the hell?
But he also grew to be so tall, not naturally, not because he was put here by God to be that tall, but because he had an illness or something different with his body genetically that made him grow tall.
Tallism.
Tall as
Hey,
That
Peter.
knows-
it's called acromegaly. It's
Acromegaly.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Go.
it's a disease that's very tough on the people who have it because
Yes.
your bones and your skeleton and your muscles are not modified to carry that much size. But it also has a lot of problems with I think with the organs and circulation and things, because your heart when you scale up that way, your heart has to match
Science.
the diameter of your veins and everything. It's a
Science.
very debilitating
Yes.
disease.
Hey, Peter, have you and Akiko had a chance to check out the St. Genevieve Museum Learning Center, the official dinosaur museum in the state of Missouri yet?
Yeah, we were there last night. They
I
hosted
let
us for
people
dinner.
know I've been there, and I haven't been there in the last couple of years after the find, but I was like, wow, this is a pretty damn good place. Would you say it's a good place people should check out in St. Genevieve?
It's an amazing museum. I think you see the front of the building and it looks interesting, but I think it's a real gem when you go inside. The amount of artifacts and fossils and just the story it tells is really compelling. It's really comprehensive. You have artifacts from cultures from all over the world. You have historical artifacts from the earliest sort of settling of Missouri from Native Americans through fur traders and miners up to the Civil War and on. So it's a really great place to visit and get a slice of local but also world history.
Yep.
I had a chance to go in there because and check it out, but they do a terrific job. I just wanted to make sure it's a great trip for people, not only in the St. Louis area, but the Midwest. If you're traveling through, I mean, you can learn a lot of different things and not just about, as we were talking about with dinosaurs. We'll show pictures before the end of the show. Joe's been, our engineer has been hit with about 100 different pictures today of tall people. He's trying
the one that you just sent is I have to convert it to a different
that's
file.
fine. We'll let people know
because it's so big.
But Peter and Akiko, you have to do us one favor. When you click out, can you please record the conversation you have about what just took place and send it to us? Because our listeners are like, man, those two people are like, what the hell did I just jump into?
Is there a tab on the
There might be.
Yeah, well,
you'll have to join us. Peter, you guys will have to join us on a regular day, Monday through Thursday, when we're not talking crazy stuff.
Oh, well, this was fun.
No, you guys
were not crazy. You're great. You're awesome.
If you would have had freshmen come into your class like this, you would have failed them all immediately.
I feel like I would have flunked because I still am disappointed dinosaurs aren't purple.
And I've never felt like such a lunatic talking to these two very serious scientists about
Barney is coming back.
Thank you. This is
They're making a new Barney. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and they could have been purple. You don't know. Maybe their blood came to the top of the skin layer and the epidermis.
That's probably the coolest thing I learned today. We don't know colors of dinosaurs.
Yeah, I didn't
see. You're brainwashed. Green is not always the best.
Or people.
I don't know.
Oh my gosh,
that's true.
Hey, Akiko, thank you for sitting through. Sorry you had to deal with this.
We apologize.
Yeah, no worries.
I saw the eye roll. I give that same eye roll.
Yeah, I know. So do I.
Seriously, Peter, Makovicky, and Kiko, thank you so much for joining us today, guys. A wealth of information, a wealth of knowledge, and we certainly wish you the best. And if you guys have any information that comes out or studies or things of that nature, let us know. We'll have you back on. You're a super popular guest, and people certainly like the education.
And we're very serious Monday through Thursday.
Okay. So it's a casual Friday.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, it is.
See you guys. Thank you so much. That was a lot of fun. That was a whole lot.
I have never felt crazier than I feel today.
But here's the thing, Tabitha, I give you so much credit, and I do. Number one, we produce content. Number two, on Fridays, we get a little out of the box, and you've done your research, and you brought points forward, and you weren't afraid to say it, and you tried to back it up with some things. I appreciate you doing it, Tabitha.
I do too.
Well, I appreciate you guys appreciating it. And what I really wanted to talk about, and I'm so glad, and Peter was the perfect person to come on and talk to us about this, is how the fossilization process works.
That makes sense.
And how and to talk about the museum, because again, if you look at the museum, the Field Museum, the Natural Museum of Natural History and Science, they all say when you come into our museum, what you're seeing are fossilized bones. Not real bones, fossilized bones. But like Peter pointed out, fossilized bones are real bones.
Well, it's organic material. It's carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. It's proteins, like he said.
The way they looked at me, I'm going to go back and record that little segment and play it for myself.
But you know what came out of this today? You know what came out of this today?
We met a Kiko.
Is that none of us on the...
She looked at me like, this lady is crazy. But I love them both.
I don't care. This is fantastic. because it is a good thing to take your weird skepticism or what you might believe or what or be able to look in the mirror and say, I believe aliens are real, and then have scientific evidence to prove they're not.
So are you going to be
opposite? Or the
one.
opposite.
So are you going to listen to science next week when we talk whether the Earth is flat or not?
It's not flat, and
Okay.
I'll sit here in that chair and listen to you guys.
And there's going to be
make asses of yourself.
I
and
will
that's
take
fine.
on Tabitha's role next week.
Yeah, this is not the Truman Show.
You know what? I believe, Vic, there is part of you, it may be bigger part than I even think, who actually thinks the Earth is
Science.
flat.
There's
Tabitha.
There's some. No,
It's
she's
true,
not
it's true,
saying she
Eric.
thinks that. She says that Vic thinks.
Vic thinks it. I know there
There are
part of
some
Vic that believes it.
scientific questions
No,
that
there's
can't be answered
they can't.
against flat Earth. That's all I'm
So
saying.
how do you fly around the Earth
Exactly, and we're
if
going to
it's
get it.
flat?
So we're going to get into that next
You
Friday.
don't.
How do you start at the arch, fly all the way around the Earth, and end up back on the other side of the Earth?
Intercontinental ballistic missiles have proved that
I love it.
there is no such thing as a flat Earth.
I love it.
It's not going to happen.
Should we cancel the segment?
Yes.
No,
Just
because there are so many people who believe the Earth is flat. It's
There
not,
are, Eric. I
and
was
more
shocked
people
at how many
all
people.
the time.
because you know why? Because of TikTok.
Robert says you're crazy, Eric. It's a straight line. That's why.
Who said that?
Robert.
Oh, Robert.
There's a lot of people who believe it.
Which is why it is a good segment to do. We're going to stay with it. We're going to keep.
I'm fascinated to know how they can't square so much stuff. It's unbelievable. They can't square anything.
That's why I'm like
with
it's worth
aviation
talking about.
With aviation or with Christopher Columbus. You can't square any of that stuff.
Paul will get to Antarctica someday.
Have you heard something new? I'd
rather do Antarctica than flat Earth.
We're going to do that.
We'll do both.
We have lots of Fridays to get to.
We'll do
Just stay away from TikTok and Facebook for about a year and you'll be fine.
What were you saying, Tabitha?
There are people who believe, and I can't wrap my brain around this, who believe that what we have been taught about the Earth and what the Earth looks like and what we see from space or whatever is not the case at all. There are people who believe that what we see and visually, as far as we can possibly travel as humans, is just a little tiny dot.
It's right. It's because
a little tiny dot.
Well, it's because we have the firmament over us, and we're really not truly going outside of the firmament.
Lizzie, help me.
That's what they say. That's what they say.
I'm just still back to the fact that Barney's coming back.
Yeah,
exactly. You know what?
I'm excited.
It's fine.
About that.
I wanted to ask him if Jurassic Park could happen, if there was like some little piece of amber somewhere that we could get a DNA sample of or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That would be best of all.
Eric, pilots that fly from the north to the southern hemisphere, to answer your question.
Okay, what about it? You can keep going and end up at the north hemisphere again.
We need tacos and tequila here right now. By the way, that's what Winty says for Cinco de Mayo, starting at 7.
That would have been good. We could have been eating them
Tacos and
today.
tequila, baby.
I need tequila
Winty,
right now.
7 p.m. and on.
I am venturing into the city today.
Yeah.
Oh, good for you.
We're going to see what happens.
Good luck with that.
Yes.
Tell Kimmy that we said hi.
Hey, you know what? Speaking of which, here's what we'll do.
I might fear.
We'll take a quick break. We'll show you our advertising and our sponsors. When we come back, we're going to break down the Kim Gardner situation. We hit it a little bit to start the show. It is a free-for-all fun Friday where we have things, but we'll get into that. We'll also show you the funny video of Trump impersonating Biden. We tried to do it earlier in the week. We've been slammed.
And we're going to talk about mud fossils.
And mud fossils.
Haven't you had enough?
Well,
Okay,
we saw
quick
2
break.
pictures. That's
Haven't
not
you
even
had
the one.
enough
Rojo,
humiliation
we'll do a
for
quick
one
break
day?
and we'll come back and we'll
I'm
do
not
it.
humiliated.
This is Dr. Mahesh Bhagway. I'm an orthopedic surgeon here in St. Louis for over the last 20 years. I went to Washington University. I got my medical degree at St. Louis University. From local high school athletes, college athletes, weekend warriors, injured workers, and even Cardinal baseball players, I've treated them all. Our practice strives to personalize care with every new patient being seen by me. To find me, contact my staff at drbagwe.com. That's DRBAGWE.com. Hopefully you don't need me, but if you do, you can find me now.
White Glove Exotic Services is St. Louis's first concierge vehicle service center. Alex David's team is passionate, certified technicians. They have industry-leading tools and equipment. They do it all. They pick up and deliver your car, hands-free. Plus, they have elite detailing service, customized PPF wraps and tinting, and inspection and titling assistance. White Glove also specializes in logistics and storing options, vehicle listings, and consignment. White Glove Exotic Services. Check them out at cancelthisshow.com.
Marco, wait, What, no response? Hi, I'm Curtis Barks with Complete Auto Body and Repair, offering full service and auto repair to St. Louis and St. Charles. We are looking for someone to say polo. That's right, we are hiring. We want you now. If you would like to work in a well-paying environment, then you owe it to yourself to stop by one of our 6 Complete Auto Body and Repair locations. Will you help me find that missing person? Please call me directly at 636-488-HIRE. That's right, 636-488-4473.
Dad, and service.
Oh yeah, and service.
He fixes cars.
Carroll House has the largest selection of solid wood with the hottest new styles. Real furniture that's built to last, like our solid bedrooms, living rooms, and dining from Kincaid. Our volume enables us to save you a lot of money, especially during a solid wood sale. Plus, get free financing, fast free delivery, and free in-home design. So for solid wood, sweet styles, and solid service since 1964, shop over 3 football fields of furniture at Carroll House, because you like nice things.
Jonathan, what does make Rockwood so special?
Rockwood, we carbonize it higher than anybody else does. So we're cooking out everything that produces ash, smoke, anything like that. It gives you a lot more control over the temperature, a lot more control over the fire, and it's a 100% Missouri product.
All right, where can people get it?
It's at 100+ locations around St. Louis, any Deerberg, Straub's, meat markets, wine and cheese stores, hardware stores, you name it, we're around St. Louis. Just check the website.
And good charcoal should be able to break apart in your hands like
absolutely,
Rockwood does,
yeah.
right?
If you can't break it apart by hand, it's not charcoal yet. It's still wood. They didn't do the job, so make sure it can break apart by hand.
All right, get your Rockwood charcoal. Welcome back, everybody. What is that, Joe? Oh.
I don't
giant-
know. It was an accident is what that was.
Okay, welcome back in to cancel this. We got a lot to get to here real quick. Tabitha didn't get a chance to talk about mud fossils. Go ahead, Tabitha. Yes, mud fossils. Or we won't get to it.
Joe has silenced me.
Okay, go ahead.
He's like, I've had enough of you today. No more mud fossils.
All right, Tabitha Hassel's going to prove
This
there
isn't
are
going to
mud
take very
fossils.
long for me to talk about this.
All right, okay.
Mud fossils.
Yeah.
Are what a lot of people believe, what at one point that giant humans roamed the earth.
Yeah.
And and at some point what we see as mountain ranges and all this other stuff are actually humans that were fossilized in a way like Pompeii when you see the bodies in Pompeii. And what is it true? Is it not true? I don't know. But there's a guy out there. I'm not going to play the video because it's too long. You can go out there and just look up the word mud fossils on Facebook. You can see this guy's video. And he makes a video where he has a giant heart. And he said, this is a human heart. I've had it x-rayed. I've had it DNA tested. It comes back as human DNA. You can see where all the blood vessels are. And he claims that all geodes are actually at one point were bone. And a lot of the rocks that we see around us are actually prehistoric bone that now look like rock. And so, Pro Joe, if you just go through the slide of photos right now, that'll be the first thing we'll do. And we can talk over the photos.
You know what I see every
We
day?
had that one.
And I want to explain what pareidoia is. Pareidoia is when you see faces and everything. You can look sometimes at someone's shirt.
It kind
or
of
at a
sounds
piece
like
of
paranoia.
wood, and you see what pareidoia means,
Yeah.
that you see a face and everything. But some of these, how do you explain this? I mean, that's a mountain range that some people claim was a giant person.
Looks like a big Indian.
There's a lot of people who believe our mountain ranges are actually people who died.
This is great, weird, crazy
And
stuff.
I'm not saying it's true or that I believe this. I'm
Yeah,
just saying there are people
exactly.
who do believe this.
I see cloud fossils.
And like,
Because
and look at
when I
this.
lay on my back, I can see like little baby bears. floating in the
Exactly,
air.
that's
Alien,
pareidoia.
that's an
Yep.
alien head, isn't it?
I don't know what it is.
That looks like an alien head or lemon head.
A lemon head?
And if you go out
That looks
there,
like a skeleton.
Yeah, there's that skull form there's no soft
These are some
tissue.
fun
That
pics.
looks like a
Tabitha,
pig. That looks like a pig.
These are great pics for pareidoia.
Tabitha, you're the most interesting person on the planet. You
Why
should be
would
doing
you
the
say that?
Corona. You should be doing the Corona commercials.
But look at this. This is the top of a mountain range with what looks like two human skulls poking out.
I don't see that one.
They died as
Well, see,
lovers.
there's like that's the eye sockets up here, and that's just part of like a skull.
But it's really a rock.
But they're
Okay.
rock formations. But rocks, as we know from just talking to Peter, rocks are fossils.
Oh, she tricked us.
Fossils are rocks.
She tricked us.
Well, how do you explain this giant
She
footprint,
got the
Eric?
paleontologist to tell us that bones turn into rocks.
Correct.
And now she's using it against us.
That's correct.
Tabitha, you're a damn genius.
She is.
Go, girl.
She's using it against
Because
us.
now there's a foot.
There's a lot of people
That's a
who
cool
believe,
picture.
that at some point way back, billions of years ago,
Yes.
that giant humans roamed the earth.
Okay.
There's a
Well, it's in
lot
the Bible.
of people
It is
who
in the
believe that.
Bible.
Was that the last photo?
That's
Oh.
like a bear paw.
Those are some good photos.
Yeah, those
Those
are
really
good. That's good
photos.
stuff, man.
And there are people who go out. If you go online, see that looks like a person
That
laying
guy's
down.
asleep.
That looks like Eric.
That's me right around 8 o'clock in the morning. Every morning.
I can see it. That's exactly
I'm
the
just
picture.
kidding. Of course I'm kidding. It's more like 8:05.
And this is a guy, if you go back and look at a video, there's the guy that explains, see these things he has here?
Mhm.
This one here at the very top that's sticking up at the top, he claims is a heart. And if you go and look at this, he explains how fossils are made. He goes through this whole process on his video. It's a really fascinating video, too long and too slow for us to play. But he shows these different rocks and geodes. And, you can see how he has had them x-rayed, how he has had them DNA tested. And these are just ordinary rocks you can go out and find like at a park are actually human bones from, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years
Mud
ago.
Fossils would be a great name for a St. Louis band because these old ass dudes have bands. That's
Mhm.
tonight at the pageant.
And
Mud
some
Fossils.
of them look like human forms. Some of them look like animal forms. But I will tell you what,
Do you believe this stuff? Yes or no?
I'm open
no.
to
Come on.
interpretation. Really, no.
Okay.
But I'm open to
There we go.
open to the idea because if you listen to the people who do believe it talk about it, there are Facebook groups out there who talk about it. And something that I thought was really fascinating, and Joe has a video, I don't know if we'll have time to play it, but the video, and this goes to show you
How
that
long is the video?
I told him to only play 2 minutes of it.
Oh, damn.
So
But we don't have to play
So
it, Joe.
all
We'll
you
do it
have to
another Friday.
all you have to do
I thought I
is
had a whole segment
all
to
you have
talk
to
about
do
it.
is use a sledgehammer and you can literally come to this surmise the if it's a rock or if it has any kind of organic
Well,
matter.
there's an entire mountain range, and we'll get into it on another Friday. But there is an entire mountain range out there that looks like it would be a mountain. It looks like it would be rock.
Could it be carvings from another planet?
No, well, we know what it is, and it's actually
Could it be the
petrified
same
wood.
stuff that's on Mars?
It's an entire mountain of petrified wood, and you can go to this
Well,
mountain range.
let's play 2 minutes of the video, and then we'll get into Kim Gardner. Is that cool?
Well, this is a different video. Do you have the video of the
Oh.
petrified mountain?
You guys need a producer, both you guys, because you guys should.
Guys, this is so funny and bizarre. Look at that. That is the Bud Light. That is every single Bud Light stand here.
Okay, you know what that was? That was the Bud Light video.
Now we're cooking with
That
Crisco.
was at Fenway Park.
Good job, Joe.
Fenway Park.
Joe.
Joe's like, I'm not running that.
But now you got to.
video.
Now you got to just.
There
you
were zero
Now
people.
you got to play it.
You got to
I love
slam on the
Fridays.
brakes.
There were zero people in line
Hold
to
on.
buy AB products.
Everybody take a
At the
vote.
Red
Are there
Sox
mud
game.
fossils or not? You raise your hand. I say no. Vic,
Well, you haven't
No.
even looked at it
Vic.
or seen it. We touched. I thought I had a whole
No.
segment on it today,
Yeah.
but we just touched
If
base
this
on
was
it.
a
We'll
grand-
talk about it another
if this
day.
was a grand jury, we wouldn't bring this to trial. Now
We
let's
had-
get to Bud
since
Light.
you brought it up 3 times, Tabitha, you had mud fossils to talk with Peter about, and you didn't.
No. That Peter was not my.
That was when you were
subject.
supposed to bring that in.
No. He was not my segment. My tabs take was going to be mud
Girl, you
fossils.
need to start doing your homework.
We'll do it
tonight.
another. We'll do it another.
No. I digress. If you haven't made your case for mud fossils yet, then
no,
go.
no. We got so many things to cover today that are far more important than mud
Not
fossils.
really. Because here's what I love about this show is that on the show we can say this
Free
is
for all Friday.
this is a theory that's on the TikToks, and we just disproved it. I love that. We just proved that dinosaur bones are literally dinosaur bones.
Well, we
And there's-
proved that dinosaur bones are fossils. They are
There we
fossilized bones. They're
go.
rocks, actually.
Did we not prove to you today that it's just
I
old
get it.
bones?
And yes, but they are fossilized bones. When you go to the museum, those are not bones you're looking at. Like you can't take the bone out of my arm and build me at the museum. I have to be fossilized first.
Yes. All right.
I thought you said that you agreed with him.
I agree with him that they're fossilized bones.
But there were dinosaurs 200 million years ago.
But you know what Amy says?
Right.
The reason why Bud Light commercial came on, Pro Joe, was because they're going to be a fossil soon.
Oh, I like that.
That was good.
Also true.
Down 27% in sales.
And no, Paul, I was not intimidated, but I do respect Peter, and I felt silly asking him some of these questions. There's no question about it.
No, you shouldn't.
But someday, when we have more time on a Friday, we will talk about the mud fossils. And in the meantime, you guys can go out and look it up online. There are Facebook groups where they talk about the mud fossils, and they show how they are also fossilized bone, just like.
But what's wrong with that? I guess it's like the elements did their
fossils of bone.
Like,
end of story.
It's like the dinosaurs did their role. They were born and they walked around in the earth, and then the elements did their job. And they
if we can believe that dinosaurs existed, why can't we believe giant humans existed?
Aaron says
he just disproved that too.
He didn't disprove anything.
Because our tallest guy was 8 feet tall, and he had a hard time standing up himself. How can you have a 24-foot
Because that was a different story. He was not proportionate because he had this acromegaly or whatever it was. But
we sound like geniuses. You know that? We are the geniuses of St. Louis.
Donna says Kim soon to be
You're
a
going to make
mud
me
fossil.
choke to death.
Anyway.
I'm going to tell you, the chat line today has been hysterical. The comments
I
are
can only imagine.
hysterical. I am having a ball
All
with
right.
them.
Well,
It's so
let's
fun.
get to something we know something about. Beer. Go.
Yeah, beer. 27% down. Bud Light sales. Miller up 20%.
Nice.
So they're rocking and rolling.
Miller's good. I never really gave it a shot till recently.
You're a marketing guy. I said it to start the show. Arguably the best campaign of all time when it comes to beer. Tastes great, less filling, and who they used in their commercials. And it ran forever and ever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
They did a terrific job. So that's what we know with the beer side. We've got Nicole Jenkins. She was a super, super guest, very popular. When she came on, St. Louis area businesswoman, she left the city of St. Louis because she was tired of dealing with the crime. Kim Gardner and crew not doing much about it. She was also still frustrated with what's happening with the mayor, the current mayor, and is just wanting people in St. Louis to wake up. And when she talked to us, she left the city of St. Louis, I believe, because she's like, you can't do business here.
No.
She reached out to us, didn't she, Lizzie?
Yeah, she did. She definitely reached out to us because she said, we're definitely the platform that understands what's going on in St. Louis and will give her a voice. And she I don't know how much she's going to go into this, but she has a big plan. And that's why she's running a little bit late of leaving or adding to where she's at now.
Nice. It's weird. St. Louis, she's not the lawyer that resigned and then did the like hour-long press conference with Channel 5 the other day, was she?
No.
Okay.
That was the woman who I spoke to.
Man, I'll tell you what, you go watch that interview. I think it was with Channel 5 or 4, one of the two. And they were on the street, they were just on the steps of the courthouse or something like that. The fear in her face is like you could chew on it. It was like, my God, this place is nuts. I got to get out of here. I'm a liberal. I wanted to work here. It was my dream job, and I got to go. And you watch that, and you're like, you don't even know probably half the story of what's happening in that office right now. You know what I mean?
I bet.
I do.
And then how much does that translate over to City Hall with Tashara's people?
Well, that's what's interesting is, and Tashara sat back, but she's not. Okay, let me say this in the way I'm trying to be as polite as I can. The best thing that could have happened for Tashara was Kim Gardner.
Exactly.
I got to process that one. Say that again.
The best thing that has happened for Tashara Jones, in my humble opinion, is Kim Gardner.
Because Kimmy's getting blamed for everything.
Well, the only thing I'll say,
the attention goes there as opposed to the mayor, because we already know the city is, number one, the biggest issue is crime, but two, there's not businesses going into there.
No.
You don't have income propping up the city. You have a bunch of income that came in from a couple different things, from COVID money and then the Ram settlement. So then you've got to see where that's going to take place. But what you have, and we'll get into more of this in just a few minutes with what's happening with this whole situation regarding the city of St. Louis. It is a national story. Now we move on. You get worse before it gets better, as Tabitha said. That's what's going to happen. And now who is going to be the replacement? And guess what? Mike Parsons, step on up to the plate. You get to pick another guy. Will there be fallout from people because now it's Kim quitting. It's not her being removed from office.
Well,
this was the best way to do it.
But Bailey said he's still going to go after her. Did you hear that?
No, I did not.
So it's like Bailey isn't taking his gloves off yet because she's still here till June 1st. That's a long ass time.
It is.
That's a long. How many people can get killed in the next 35 days? You know what I'm saying? How many people can get hurt because there's a prosecutor that's not coming in with the messaging like, you kill anybody, you steal anything, we're coming after your asses. How much damage can she do in 30 days in this city? Right. So Bailey's like, great. I'm glad you quit. Fantastic. But we're still coming after you. Get your stuff and get out of that damn office right now. That's what he said yesterday on air. So I guess my point is that she's trying to have it her way. She's trying to go out on her own terms.
Yeah. Well, as long as she would have to actually start working to do something.
Well, that's the thing is if you are in breach of your contract and you are legitimately going to night school or day school to become an RN or an LPN or whatever it is she's trying to be, you are in breach of your contract.
No, it is. And that's what she was saying. And Nicole Jenkins has just arrived in studio too. So she's going to come on in and we're going to talk with Nicole here. We'll get her rocking and rolling. Lizzie, can you bring her in, please? I appreciate it so much. It just, St. Louis is tired and we're a national tired of being just the shit show that it is. And it starts with the new circuit attorney and it needs to continue with the damn mayor. That's where you start with it. And people have to have some sort of care. They have to have some sort of desire for things to change. Nicole Jenkins was one of those people. She was trying to get change. She's joined us on our show before. She was trying to do whatever she could, at least to bring some attention forward with everything. And when Kim Gardner is forced to resign, your first thoughts on this, Nicole, were what? Because I'm sure maybe you knew something that we didn't, but were you shocked by this?
No, I wasn't shocked. I think that, I'm feeling very confused about everything that's going on. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a double side for me because I know that crime has been in the city forever. I grew up in the city. Mm-hmm. However, I think that Kim came in the door, maybe wanted to do the right thing, stop the corruption, but she lost sight of the crime that was going on. So as a minority woman, where do the businesses stand, especially the Black businesses? If you want to attract more, minority businesses, I think the opportunity should be that we should be able to run our business. Yeah. And you can, if you want to stop corruption, that's fine. If you're, you're the St. Louis City Circuit Attorney's Office. And if you want to see things and you want to change, that's okay. But at the same time, you do have to prosecute. Yeah. You can't just let it, get out of hand because there are innocent people, that are losing their lives. Yeah. There are innocent people that are losing their loved ones. There are innocent people that are losing their businesses. On KSDK, a friend of mine just told me that they said over 500 businesses closed while she was in office. Wow. I don't know if that statistic, is correct, but if that is correct, I do know when I started, I felt very good, started my business. I felt very good about being downtown. I heard that the soccer stadium was coming. I chose not to open up in the city of Atlanta, which was a thriving business. So I moved back to St. Louis to start a business and to make history. But it quickly, got into, the crime some of the crime wasn't even being, aired. Yeah. And there was a lot. Yeah. But when you're outside of someone's business and you're shooting 100 rounds, how do you expect anyone to be able to run a business, let alone live there? Yeah. So I think that she lost sight of what really was at stake.
And Nicole is the owner at Veterans Advantage Urgent Care. You had a business in the city and then you were forced to move it.
I was forced to move.
I did not know that.
From downtown St. Louis, Washington Avenue. Yeah. I walked outside of my business and I almost got shot.
What?
After they were shooting 100 rounds, after they had shot up the police station.
Yeah. Well, you're right. Okay, so I have pictures back in 1989. Mm-hmm. I'll have to bring them and show them to you. St. Louis, there's on 4th, I think it is, down in downtown St. Louis. Those businesses are boarded up now. You walk by, you know what I'm talking about? They're literally boarded up down there. We used to be in the city back in 89, I guess it was, right? 90. You could walk there safely at midnight from that point to the landing. We did it all the time. No consequences whatsoever. You can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Tashara had a chance. She could have gone down the right road or down the wrong road. I saw her in front of podiums with business leaders saying, we have to make this a safe place. We're going to do everything we can. But she just never pulled the trigger as a strong leader to say, Kim Gardner, I love you, but you got to go. Don't you think that that's what our mayors, not just St. Louis, but all over the country, they have to say, yeah, the social justice stuff, that's fine. We'll work on that later. But if you commit a crime in the city, you're in jail.
I think that because the position that Kim Gardner held, that is that state. She reports to the state. She doesn't report to the city. I think that it's going to take. I mean, you can't fight every monkey in the room, right? You need the gorillas with you,
right?
Yep.
But she's a voice.
So she's a voice, but I didn't see where the gorillas were, helping. Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, again, I think that Kim lost sight of what needs to take place, what needs to occur, because you can stop the corruption, but you do have to prosecute.
You got to do the tactical.
You got to prosecute, you know. And I think that, even coming in, let's be fair. I like to be fair. St. Louis City, it's been crime in the city, right?
Yeah.
But how do you stop that? You have to make it attractive for police officers. So whoever, runs the police force, you have to make it attractive for them to come.
Let me stop you there. You need to make it.
She doesn't run. Okay.
Tashara Jones is in charge of.
So whoever runs the police force, if you know that crime is out of hand and the prosecuting attorney, they can't control it, they're not prosecuting, then the next step is all the gorillas in the room have to work together.
So here's what you'd have to do then. Like you just said, you have to make it super attractive for the businesses to come back, for the residents to come back, for the high skilled individuals that want to work in the downtown area.
Correct.
You have to make it real uncomfortable for the criminals. Correct?
I do. You do. And to change anything, you have to make it uncomfortable for them.
Just super uncomfortable. And like you said, here's where, and me and Tabitha kind of talk about this a lot. It's not the people that are getting shot on Washington and 7th Street. It's the people that come into their business at 7 in the morning and the back door has been smashed in. And that's not on Channel 4 News or Channel 2 or Channel 5.
The back door is being smashed in. They're in front of the businesses with AKs. And another thing, again, the corruption has to stop. And what I want to know is, okay, she's gone. So what's going to happen after this? You got to get rid of the slumlords who's taking the deals.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got to get rid of the judges that's taking the deals. You all that, it needs to be broken up.
Right.
And so I hope now that the right thing is going to be done. It's going to, they're going to do the right thing, because there are innocent people. There are the business owners where your back door is smashed in, your glass is busted out, someone's in front of your window with, with an AK. Nobody wants to come and visit you downtown because of doing so. Vic did an interview with me, and it was a boarded up window. you can actually go to the interview. You can go to the interview. It's still online, and the window was boarded up, and I was like, God, nobody really gonna come and see me.
Here's the thing: is people in West County, we want to help. It's like people in Ladue, Chesterfield, St. Charles. We want to spread what's going on there all the way to the city, so that everybody has the same thing. Tashara right now has an opportunity, one more time, to go down this path of, we're bringing this thing back and we're doing it the right way. Or she just goes with the social justice. That's the case. It's social justice versus
who is she? What are you talking about?
Tashara Jones.
Tashara's not changing anything, Eric.
She has to.
Eric,
hold on. Do you think that she has to do that?
I think, let me.
And then we'll hear Tabitha's point.
Okay, so I think from what I'm seeing, the shift in Tashara, I think that Tashara has shifted. And it might be a forced shift, or it might be her shifting on her own. But I think her being the mayor, I think that she sees what's at stake.
Yeah.
Because it took it for her to come out and say she needs to step
Basically,
down.
yeah.
You know, I'm sure that she was crossed because Kim is, you know, she's another Black woman. She's trying, you know, they're both in politics.
Yeah.
But I think she has the tough skin to say, you know, and she did, you have to do some soul searching because this is not working.
Yeah, but she's talking out of two sides of her mouth because she just did an interview saying, I feel like they're coming down on us for whatever reason it was.
No, but she was referring, Eric, to the situation of if the city was going to go under police control from the state.
Okay.
That was a little bit of a different side story. What were you talking about from that?
I'm going to say that I think we need to look at the reality of the situation. And that is that even with Kim Gardner out of that spot, we may never see St. Louis in a peaceful place in our lifetimes. It may never happen. It's going to be a long...
That's sad.
It is sad.
That is sad.
But look where we've come since the 1950s. My family's from St. Louis. We've come a long way, unfortunately. And it continues to decline. Yes, we can replace Kim Gardner, and hopefully that will make some good improvements. But in the long run, you know, the city's in a bad place. It's not going to get any better. So in the meantime, what do business owners do?
They leave.
That's exactly what they're doing.
They leave. I mean, it is very. I'll tell you. I know that running my businesses shouldn't be this stressful.
Exactly.
I know that I have a good business model. I'm getting calls from all over to put my business somewhere else.
Yes.
You know, but I'm still hopeful that we can change some things. And the first thing that we really need to change in St. Louis, we always talk about, you know, the segregation, you know, this part of St. Louis. And for me living in Atlanta to St. Louis, we do have a huge segregation problem. We have a socioeconomic gap that has never been closed. Okay. And I think that we're getting better with that. And I think it's going to take some time.
Right.
But, you know, we're very cliquish. You know, we're in this clique, and if you're not in this clique, and it doesn't matter if you're Black or white, it kind of you outcast. If you're not Black enough, then you're not in my group.
Right.
If you don't, you know, you're from the city and you got to.
Have you ever been
enough.
told you're not Black enough?
Oh, I've been told that I'm not Black enough all the time. I don't change up the way I talk because I'm diverse. I don't change up who I am.
Right.
I still give back to the community.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm a realist.
Yeah.
And I look at both sides, and I'm very Black.
Yeah.
I'm Black enough. I'm blacker than Black. Okay. But I have friends that are Indian, that are white, that are, I mean, my mom put me in a, you know, in a different setting as a child. And I like that because your mind can never grow.
Yeah.
So the people that tell me that I'm not Black enough are other minorities whose mind, it hasn't been expanded.
Yeah.
And this is not to talk down on them, but you have to expand your mind. So when you come to me correct, because I still know how to fight, and I still know how to check you and give you a black
Well, that's
girl
because
face.
you've brought some conservative ideas when it comes to business.
Common sense ideas.
To the city that people are like, how dare you even try that? Because that goes against what we're about in the city.
That are its
what are they
wealthy white business owners who don't understand me and say, how dare you? You don't get a chance to be in the game. And I say, oh, yes, I do.
I'm glad you bring that up.
So how dare you?
It's the full story.
So I get both sides. I get hit, you know, and you got to be tough. If you can make it in St. Louis, you can make it anywhere.
Yeah.
But we do have a problem here. And until politicians face this problem, you know, I'll tell Democrats all the time, guess what? Stop saying what's black enough, what's not black enough, and just let people in and expand your mind. And I'll tell Republicans all the time, stop wearing blue suits and being so stiff. You need to let black people in because there are black people that want to, you know, learn about conservative values, that want to grow their businesses. So everybody isn't bad, you know. You're going to keep losing if you keep fighting that battle.
Yeah. And I'd hate to see St. Louis turn into just a ghost town, but we do have a unique opportunity because we could show the world that St. Louis, the Ferguson effect started here. Boom. We could show the world that we know how to fix this stuff and be a template for New York, Los Angeles, Seattle, and say, everybody can get along. We can fix it. It starts with exactly what you're talking about. If there's no security, there's no field to even play on because no business is going to come back here to St. Louis. You're going to leave. And you know what's so funny when Vic says that? It's like you're leaving and you have people talking down on you for leaving. It's like, you can talk all you want, but I'm going to be safe. And I'm going to go to, I don't know, Wentzville. Wentzville seems safe, and you can start a successful business there and say, yeah, I left the city 10 years ago. It was not livable.
I just left a business meeting in St. Charles County. Dardine Prairie, they want to put
Exactly.
me out there.
Go.
I'm gonna go, but you know what? I'm gonna stay in the city because
I understand.
we continue to run from this
Yes.
problem.
Well,
we gotta stay. We
you gotta do what's best for you, though.
It's gonna be best for me because I'm not gonna run. If I have to sit down,
Then run
with
for mayor.
Tashara,
I'll vote for you.
I don't want that position.
Okay,
right
never
now.
mind.
You
But
don't
if-
live in St. Louis City, Eric.
No,
I guess
but
you're
if I have to sit down with Tashara and anybody else, I will, because I do want to see the city grow. Let's talk about St. Louis City. Let's talk about St. Louis. St. Louis City has so much to offer.
Yes.
We have a cheap, economical way of living.
Okay.
We need a better transportation system, but we have good things. We got good food. We got good music. St. Louis is not. We can be the Mecca.
Yeah. Yes.
And we're right in the middle. We're country. We're Southern. We're Midwesterners. We're all of that.
Yeah.
And we need to learn how to, embrace what we have.
Yeah.
Stop running from what we have, and we need to learn how to accept the truth and stop running.
Well, why
from
can't
the truth.
the truth just be the truth? It's like we had today a discussion about dinosaurs, and they might not be dinosaurs, and we're like, what the hell? Sometimes you just got to see what's in front of you. Here's the bone. Just call it what it is. Crime is a zero tolerance game in St. Louis.
Zero tolerance.
As a matter of fact, what we used to do, that didn't even work. If you commit a crime, you're going to jail and you're not coming out. Bail has been off the table now, at least for the next 2 years.
Or if you commit a crime and it's a harsh crime, we got to also look at mental health. And people are snapping every day.
Oh, yeah.
And it is very hard.
From what?
No, Eric, Tabitha's talked about this. Go out. People are doing things that are just crazy.
Is it drug induced?
No, let me tell you. Some of it is drugs. So on the wealthy side is drugs. On the impoverished side, it's you can't really make it. St. Louis makes it really hard for you to make it here. And no matter how much you try, when you're impoverished, they do. I can say that. I've had better opportunities elsewhere. And I'm not about the handouts. I'm about trying to, get somewhere.
Yeah.
But when you're in a community where there's nothing, there's a food desert. What do you expect people to do? Right?
Yeah, that's right.
And until someone can show you the way, you don't really know. You only know what you see, your environment.
Yeah.
And that is why all the politicians need to come together. And we need to stop this blame game of what's this and what's that.
Yeah.
And we need to make St. Louis work for St. Louis people. The wealthy can have their side and the blacks can have their side.
No, that's
right?
not. No,
and
I don't like that.
the poor whites can have
I
their
don't like
side.
that.
I think it's okay to do that. And it's okay to say that.
So you're
and,
saying-
and it's working in other progressive cities.
Yeah.
But you got to give the people that have their side, you have to give them something to live for as well. You have to offer them something.
Yeah.
And I don't see St. Louis offering them anything.
Okay.
I see where I grew up at, poor, impoverished, horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah.
What would you say? You said that they're not giving them, something to get ahead. What would that be? Like, what would your ideas be?
Parks, better education. You don't have to live in Rockwood.
Our education system is not good.
Yeah,
in parts
and
of the city.
if you keep children and families and impoverished neighborhoods and you give them no education and they lack education, you're going to keep your foot on their necks. And when you keep your foot on their necks, that means that you can come and run as a politician under identity politics. And when you run as under identity politics, that means I'm going to give you $200 or $300 for you to vote for me. And these people are poor. What would you do? If I was poor and I had nothing and you come and give me something and I have nothing, I'm going to take it. And that is the system that we're running off of. And that system has to be stopped.
Well, there's about 30 things that make up St. Louis what it is today in a not so positive standpoint. Kim Gardner being the focal point now because of the lack of prosecution in the situation. We know what's going on with the mayor. Now we have a situation coming up where the governor is going to appoint her replacement. If she was going to leave office, I'm glad she quit, not being removed. In my humble opinion, the supporters that she does have and have still, that quiets them a little bit because she quit.
But I still don't think.
Are you concerned with who the governor may put in this position?
I'm not concerned with, you know why? Because I think the crime is so out of control right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even care who Parson put in this position.
Because she did such a bad job.
These people, it's out of control right now. I don't even think they're going to be able to control them.
No, Eric,
I think you're right.
Eric, it's
so sad because we all love St. Louis.
The flood.
All love St. Louis.
No, it's the flood. The dam breaks and the water's going everywhere. You can start to stop the flood, but that flood's still going to continue even after
you gotta let the water kind of drain.
And then
out.
It's a
That's
mess.
a good analogy.
It's a mess.
That was a good analogy.
And it's going to continue.
I think that I think that we need to attract more police officers. I think just locking people up is not the answer. You can put them in the cage, but guess what? That's still not going to be the answer. I think it's going to take some real intervention to come in.
Yeah.
And really get to the bottom.
Maybe some PSAs. Hey. Could PSAs work? Some if 2, 4, and 5. Yeah. This is your brain on drugs. This is remember that campaign?
How about some truancy officers to get these kids off the street?
There you go,
How about putting some money
damn.
into the educational system
and
get
Nicole,
them back into schools?
I don't think people understand really how bad it. I lived in the city cumulatively 10 years in St. Louis City. Part of that time on 4 years on Washington Avenue.
Yeah,
my family has property in the city. We have tenants who get their houses getting broken into, their garage is getting broken into, right down off Kings Highway. I don't think people realize that it's not just a couple of blocks. It's such a big, widespread problem. The crime is,
and
that
Nicole,
will never be. I feel hopeless. I don't see how we can ever solve
a good friend of mine. His wife owns Winty's over here in the Chesterfield Valley. Ben's in the process of leaving the city. He gave the city a shot, and he's leaving. He's bringing
what?
Ben's.
Well, there's some news.
Well, no, I mean he's been working on it. He's bringing his $30 million of revenue and leaving St. Louis City and coming out to Chesterfield. But he's like, I gave it a shot. And
I feel like ready. Being a small business owner, I finally had some money saved up, and I had to use every quarter I had to move.
Yeah. But you'll make it back in tenfold if you come out to Dardine Prairie. Trust me.
Oh, I know I'm going to make it out in tenfold.
Was it a good meeting?
It was a very good meeting. Mayor Godway and Jennifer Whitehead-Meyer.
Yeah.
I will be. We're looking at where the Hallmark store is at off of.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's been vacant for a while.
Yes.
Where the Schnooks is at.
Yeah.
And we're looking at making that VAUC.
And there's a lot of those guys because Delmar Gardens is right down the damn street.
Yes. So we are. I have a lot.
It's like mud fossils in St. Charles.
By the way, Nicole's business is Veterans Advantage Urgent Care. It was the first urgent care for veterans in the entire country.
Much needed.
So genius.
It was a great idea, and still a great idea, and you still have it. And I'm so glad that it's still going on.
But I'm not moving out of the city.
That's the thing.
I know you're fighting.
I'm fighting. I moved off of Washington, but I'm not. I'm gonna.
Lizzie, can we have Christy come in too while
I'm not moving.
While Nicole's talking?
You don't want to move? You say that now.
I might run for office.
You're going to run for office?
I might.
In St. Louis?
I might.
Come on.
I feel like it's needed.
Oh, yeah. That would be nice. That would be awesome. Chris, can you go over to your man Eric and show this
little baby?
Well, when you make an announcement, Nicole, you have to let us know because
I've been thinking about it.
People want you to do that.
They've been wanting me to do it for years, but I've been thinking about it, and I think
that's okay.
Will that be my mascot?
Yeah. It's a free-for-all Friday, as we know. That's Christy. Christy's Eric's girlfriend. That is the birthday gift that Eric bought Christy. We've been promising and asking for Christy, how's it been? Can you tell us about Spectre? What kind of goat is that?
Sorry, I'm short.
No, shorter than
he's a pygmy goat. He's a little mini goat.
He's not, yeah.
Look at him. He's like, what am I?
Can I take him to Cinco de Mayo with me today?
Yeah. So is it a house goat? Explain what that is.
He's a house goat.
It's the Save St. Louis goat.
See his diaper?
Oh, wow.
Oh, he's got a okay. I got the Save St. Louis goat.
He sleeps inside.
This is the Save St. Louis goat.
It's Spectre saving St. Louis.
Cute.
One neighborhood.
So what is it like having Spectre? Does Spectre sleep? How does he eat? How does he interact with the dogs?
He eats all day. He sleeps in a kennel in the house in a dog bed, and he loves it.
Oh my gosh!
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Hi.
Say hi. I have a pit bull, and they love each other.
Aww.
Okay, so when that interaction went, how did that go, Joe? I sent you a picture of those two. If you and you have to decipher through the thousand. Oh, there they are.
You guys?
So that's a pit bull.
Can you solve a mystery for us? Did he escape?
He did escape.
We knew.
Okay,
it.
tell us the story.
Poor
What the
little
heck
thing.
happened?
So he was outside eating grass. My backyard's a little over an acre. And he escaped out of the back gate. It was closed, but I guess there's like a spot big enough for him to get out. And he went on a rendezvous for like 5 hours.
That's so cute.
Down by a creek.
Oh my gosh.
I love
Down
it.
by the creek.
Well, people were on Facebook posting about this goat, and we're like, that's got to be Eric.
The goat is
Yeah.
phenomenal.
He's the cutest thing.
He's very snuggly.
Spectre looks like a poser. Like he's ready to pose. He's like, yeah, there it is. Get my good side. For
Spectre.
next.
So I got a proposal for Spectre.
All right, what is it?
Okay, so all my friends, if you're watching, I know people were watching the last show. They were excited that I was on. Everybody wants me to come back on radio, but that's not happening. But it might happen, because I love radio. I was just talking to Lizzie about this. First, I want you to buy some time from Cancel This. Donate to them, advertise. Vic has always been a good friend of mine. He's always supported me, and I actually like coming out here, even though I went to school in Chesterfield, and you guys know how I feel about driving out here. Okay, but I will drive. I want to make Vic a proposal, and he's going to think about it. And I talked to Lizzie.
All right.
We should have like a wacky Wednesday or something like with Nicole. There's so many controversial topics. Maybe like twice a month.
But when
I don't want any advertisement money. I don't want anything. I want nothing. I want people to donate to the show to keep it going.
No, it's done. It's done. We'll talk after the show.
That's right. And I'll.
Do you really think you could get here twice a month?
No, I could.
Okay.
I could. No, I told Liz I
problem-
come at 8.
The problem is we already have wacky Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday with
Well,
Tabitha.
make it something else, like Black Girl Thursday.
Black Girl Thursday.
Yes. That is awesome. No, that's a great idea. We'll do it.
Side Chick Thursday.
Oh my God.
You got a meeting right
by the way, and thanks for bringing the goat.
thanks for
Spectre.
Spectre's like the
Christy,
most down to earth,
thank you
laid back
so
cat
much.
ever. Yeah,
That is an awesome goat.
it's gonna suck your breath out one night when you're sleeping. though.
Tabitha, you'd be great with a goat, but the problem is you work too much.
I do.
You wouldn't be home enough.
I
to
can't
take
even
care
have
of
a
it.
cat. I'm not even home enough.
Yeah, and by the way, you came on a little bit late in the show today, but
Yeah.
Helen, and it's interesting from the chat line, Nicole Jenkins is such a real person. Would love her in any local office.
Oh, I agree.
Oh, thank
Yes.
you. You guys know
no,
I'm
but-
gonna lock everybody
No,
up,
but you're the real. No.
including your mother too, and your brother if he committing a crime. No.
No, but it is.
What's
but,
controversial
but
about
hey,
that?
but Nicole, you're the real deal, and you have so many friends who are Democrats who are in positions of power to help make decisions, just like you have so many Republican friends. And we're always talking about, damn, I know it sounds good. Oh, you got to work together, but you know how far Republicans and Democrats are, especially in the state of Missouri.
Why is
You know
that?
what makes me the happiest
What?
is that I still got my hood friends.
Okay.
My friends call me and say, "You're like the realest. You
Well, I'm
never
glad,
left
but
who
some
you
of them
are."
think that they say you're not black enough, though.
Do you have Tashar's?
Not my real hood friends.
Do you have Tashar's number on your cell phone?
No, but I want to talk to Tashara. I actually do.
Okay.
I've got Tashar's number.
Well, he's got it. Let's
But
call her
we're
out.
not calling Tashara.
Tashar, hey,
Call her right
Well, why do I think that the gap is that to piggyback off your question, Vic? I don't know. I think it's because we never really got along, and we should. And I think it's because Republicans won't come down. They only come down to the city for Cardinals games and things like that.
Well, we don't feel wanted, or they don't
And
feel wanted. You can think about that for a
That
second.
is not true.
Hold on a second. The only thing I'll say about Republicans is when you run for a race and you get blown out by 90 points in St. Louis, you're like, well, I guess they don't want us here. They don't want our thinking here. And the thinking of a conservative is basically what we just talked about. Safety, economic development, right? We want things to stay normal. We don't want critical race theory put into our schools. We want our kids to learn science and beat the Chinese. The conservative principles are amazing, but we don't hand out money either. It's like we'll make a landscape for you to succeed, but we're not handing out all these checks where you feel like we owe you something.
So I'm going to tell you something.
Okay.
You sound like a 1965 Republican.
No, I'm not. Look, I'm nothing. I'm a libertarian.
Or a 2023 liberal.
No, I'm a libertarian. That's what I am.
But
or an independent, I should say.
So I think that Democrats are afraid of Republicans in this town. I think Republicans are afraid of Democrats, right? But it's gonna take a person. It's gonna take 1,000 me's to bridge that gap, because you know how many times I walked in rooms and I'm the only, like, I just went to St. Charles County, Lincoln Day, I'm the only Black in the room, right? But I know how to bridge the gap. And we're going to have to bridge the gap in order to make St. Louis work.
And those are some of the
Republicans down to Terry and Union.
But you walking into St. Charles, I know that we're going.
But
late,
I brought Republicans down to Terry and Union.
Right. But you walk into St. Charles, the beauty of that is people in that area want you to succeed, and they're going to help you succeed. That's the beauty of the conservative mindset. Not 1965.
Not all of them. They make it hard for me too now.
Well, they make it hard for everybody. But
no, they don't.
But they have these weird rules, and they want, and it starts with safety. It always does start with safety.
Okay, look what you just said. That you don't want anything brought upon you, the democratic values. But then you say, but guess what? I don't want a Republican with the rear rule.
Yeah.
Bring in what I don't agree on, you know, with me. I agree on what I agree on. You agree on what you agree on. We can all agree to disagree.
And these are the segments. These are the segments that we'll do, Nicole. We'll talk. We'll plan it out.
Let's plan it.
And so then we can get more involved in it and really break it down the right way and not try to race through it right now because we're going to end the podcast.
Yeah, because it'll be fun. Let's have Black Girl Thursday.
I love it. You'll see Vic get really nervous to my left.
And I have no problem with that.
Vic always gets really nervous whenever we do these controversial things. You'll see him go, wait a minute.
Hey, I just need my damn margarita and some tacos right now.
That's
all I need.
That's sell out.
That's all I need.
See, we could be the show to bridge that gap in St. Louis.
Please.
Let's bridge it.
And not just in St. Louis, but let it be a model for the country, for other cities that are in the same situation.
We have to do it. St. Louis has an opportunity. We know there's a problem, and we know New York doesn't know they have a problem. LA doesn't think they have a problem. St. Louis knows there's a problem.
I want to end the show. My last comment with this. This is going to be so funny because I tell this story. So you remember when Mike Brown was going on?
Yes.
So I actually went out there. You know, I don't really protest or anything like that, but I went out there and I was like, what is going on? They start throwing all these things at us. They had curfew, and I'm like, oh God.
Yeah.
Okay. So I had just started my career in like communications, and so I got on this bus, and I forgot what part of Missouri we were in, but it was like down in the Boot Hill.
Okay.
And we were walking, and I'm like, I want to see this. And I forgot where we were walking to. And this guy started throwing like chicken. He was like, you want some hot chicken? Come over here.
Oh, my God.
And everybody got mad. And I said, yeah, I love hot chicken.
Amen.
That fried chicken. Give me some of that fried chicken. So I went over to the man, and I go, can I have some? Give me a breast. You got some white meat? And everything that he said, and kind of thought you could tell, I just kind of messed them up. Like, okay, you're with them, and then you're going to come over here after I'm throwing this chicken.
Yeah.
And I said, you got some watermelon? Because it's really good. My family's from the South, and I love chicken and watermelon together.
So do I.
This is why this will be fun, because you can't take things too serious.
No.
We'll have a heart attack.
Well, at least you get chicken. I got lutefisk. I'm Swedish, and it's the most disgusting fish you've ever had in your life. So.
Is it like a filter fish?
It's like a disgusting.
I got all Jewish friends. Nothing against it. I love Jewish food. They know I like matzo ball soup, but I do not like the filter fish.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
Yes, and we have lots of Jewish listeners as well. We're all encompassing. We don't cancel it at all.
Yes.
Nicole, thank you for coming in today.
Bye,
We
Vic.
appreciate
Thank you.
For Pro Joe, Lizzie, you're amazing with those fast figures.
We can change the world.
Eric Johnson,
It starts-
the Hassel.
Starts today.
I'm Vic Faust, and thanks to Pete Makovicky, arguably the world's or the country's #1 paleontologist.
Who will
joining
never
us.
come on the show.
No,
again.
not because of you. Thanks a lot.
Coming in to talk about dinosaurs being, he said, Tabitha, not believe dinosaurs. They existed.
Yeah.
This has been my career for 25 years.
As do giant humans.
And as bad as it is, what happened under Kim Gardner, her day is done, and now you got to find a way to make it better. Piling on what she did doesn't make it any better. Got to move forward somehow, some way.
She's like Kristen Okoye of prosecutors.
Yeah.
You do
Missouri
have to
Governor
pile on
Mike
to bring
Parson
her down.
joining us at the beginning of next week, too. We'll talk about this situation. He wanted to join us this morning, but he was in a meeting. He was busy, and so was Andrew Bailey.
You think?
Oh, I just saw Andrew Bailey.
You did?
A couple of weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
He was at St. Charles County Lincoln Day.
Boy, he's got things rolling.
He sure does.
Guys, thanks for joining us for canceltheshow.com. Like, subscribe, share the show. Donate as...
Please, all my friends donate to this show. They put me on. Guess what? Donate to them. I'm not going to be on.
Go to cancelthisshow.com. We appreciate it. Have an awesome weekend. Happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody. And check out the description if you want to go to the Kentucky Derby party tomorrow at Herbie's in Clayton. Have an awesome day. We'll see you next time. That does it for this Cancel This Show, May 5th.
Oh, I love